Part 32. God Level Tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 312. Zhang de Dharma King burst out with powerful cultivation power, and even displayed a powerful Buddhist palm seal, but was directly crushed by Li Hao. The face of Dharma King Zhang became extremely ugly, and his eyes were filled with deep shock. This time I really hit the wall. He is a monk in the middle stage of pill formation. He is absolutely confident that there are only a handful of people in Dawa who can be stronger than him. Of course, except for the immortal sects on the immortal mountains, but even among the immortal sects, that is the existence of the strong. But at this moment, he was defeated by such a young man in front of him. How could it be believed? The other party was so young, but his cultivation level was higher than him, and he could also use such a powerful thunder method, which made Zhang de Dharma King extremely shocked in his heart. The thunder method is one of the most powerful cultivation methods among all the ways in the world. Failed. His Majesty the Dharma King was defeated. How is this possible? How could the Dharma King be defeated? At this moment, the worshippers were even more horrified and unbelievable when they saw the scene in front of them. The belief in their hearts, the godlike and invincible existence, could actually fail? At this moment, everyone's faith collapsed in their hearts. Master actually lost. He is a strong man in the Dan formation realm. How so? Not only the worshippers were in disbelief, Nanima, Kyangba and other disciples of Zhang de Dharma King were even watching the scene in front of them in horror. Their master, the strongest man in the entire Zhang district and their biggest backer, was actually defeated. Moreover, it was still a complete crushing, and it was simply not on the same level. This must have frightened them too much. Especially Kyanba, Nima, and Yumuo, their faces all became a little pale. They were all wrong, they had offended someone they shouldn't have. Brother, are you also a god? But at this moment, not far from Li Hao, there was a little boy. He was looking at Li Hao blankly and asked weakly. His voice was very quiet, as if he didn't dare to speak too loudly, but it was still clearly heard in Li Hao's ears. When the little boy saw Li Hao defeating Dharma King Zhang, his faith also collapsed. And this little boy was the same kid that Li Hao and Yeshiun had met before and even had a few words with each other, little Tashi. Li Hao shook his head and said lightly. There are no gods in this world. They are just a group of monks. Are you not a god? Big brother, can you really save my mother? Little Tashi shook his head when he saw Li Hao, and a hint of disappointment appeared on his young face. He was too young to know what the monk meant, and now he asked Li Hao again. When Li Hao heard what the little boy said, he could see that the little boy had already had some doubts about the Dharma King Zhangdi in front of him, but he also believed Yeshiun's previous words, and believed that his handsome elder brother could save him. The little boy's mother. When little Tashi heard Li Hao's words, a flash of brightness suddenly burst out in her eyes, as if she had hope. But this time, which fairy mountain did you come from? Zhang de Dharma King said to Li Hao in a deep voice, the other party is so powerful, he must be a genius of the immortal sect who came down from the immortal mountain, and he is definitely that kind of monster. This was what Dharma King Zhangdi was thinking at the moment. He had already developed a strong fear in his heart towards the young man in front of him. If the other person was a genius from the immortal mountain, it would be difficult to handle. When Li Hao heard the words of Zhang de Dharma King, he smiled lightly again, with a touch of disdain in his eyes. Why does everyone who has been defeated by him say this? Are the geniuses of the immortal sect as strong as me? You want to say, am I a member of those immortal sects, right? Li Hao said calmly to the Dharma King Zhang again. You think too highly of them, immortal sect, who are you in my eyes? When Li Hao's words fell and reached the ears of the Dharma King Zhang, his face froze again. Not far away, Kyangba, Nima and others couldn't help but gasped again when they heard Li Hao's words. In his eyes, what is the immortal sect? Arrogant. How arrogant this is. He actually didn't take Xianzong into consideration. How crazy. The face of Dharma King Zhangdi suddenly turned gloomy, his eyes narrowed, and he spoke sternly to Li Hao again. Since I'm not from the immortal sect, I have nothing to worry about. Boy, I have to say that you are very strong, but so what? At this moment, Dharma King Zhang didn't seem to have the slightest fear anymore. Even though Li Hao's cultivation was stronger than him, he was still not afraid. When Li Hao heard the words of Zhang Di Dharma King, his face suddenly condensed and his brows also furrowed. It was really beyond Li Hao's expectation. The other party had already been injured by him, but he still dared to say this. Where does the confidence come from? Any trump cards? Boom. The next moment, a powerful aura burst out from Dharma King Zhangdi's body. Immediately afterwards, a strange wave of vibration spread out from the body of the Dharma King Zhang, and he saw the Dharma King Zhang sitting cross-legged and making seals with his hands. And the next moment, everyone was shocked to see that the body of Zhangdi Dharma King sitting cross-legged actually floated directly, and golden Buddha light actually filled his body. Om Mani Padme Hum Ali Ga Duami. The Dharma King Zhang was still mumbling words, as if he was reciting some Buddhist sutra of Zhang, which was very mysterious. There seems to be a touch of magical power in this Buddhist scripture. Anyone who hears the voice of Zhangdi Dharma King can't help but feel a sense of awe and belief in Zhangdi Dharma King. When Li Hao saw this scene, his eyes froze again. At this moment, as the voice of the Dharma King Zhang came, it seemed as if a seed was planted in everyone's hearts, making everyone's minds infected by it. Li Hao was shocked to find that at this moment, even Yeshiun beside him was looking at the Dharma King Zhang infatuatedly, with a touch of piety in his expression. Immediately afterwards, Yeshiun bent her knees and knelt down to worship the Dharma King Zhang. It was obvious that Yeshiun was also affected. Li Hao's heart suddenly shook, and he immediately stretched out his hand to support Yeshiun, and a touch of cultivation power entered Yeshiun's body. In an instant, Yeshiun was shocked and woke up directly. Huh? Li Hao, what happened to me just now? Yeshiun, who woke up, suddenly asked Li Hao in surprise. She had just been in a state of confusion for a moment, as if she didn't know anything. She was out of control of her body and now suddenly felt a sense of fear. It's okay. I'm here. Li Hao said to Yeshiun, but his voice gave Yeshiun a sense of peace of mind. At this moment, not only Yeshiun was like this, but everyone around him, except Li Hao, had all knelt down and worshipped, including the little boy who had just shaken his belief in Zhangdi Dharma King. Boom. The next moment, the Buddha's light lingered on the body of the Dharma King Zhang. All the injuries on his body were healed. A powerful aura spread instantly and became stronger and stronger. In an instant, the aura of Dharma King Zhang had actually surpassed the middle stage of pill formation and was comparable to the late stage of pill formation. When Li Hao saw this scene, his expression suddenly condensed again. At this moment, Li Hao felt a hint of threat from the other party. This Dharma King of Zhang seems to be practicing a special Buddhist method, which is extremely strange. It cannot be seen with the naked eye, but Li Hao's spiritual perception can clearly feel that there seems to be an invisible thread from the body of the Zhangdi Dharma King, covering all the people in the field, and then contacting together. Strange powers emerged from these people, and then converged towards the place where the Tibetan Dharma King was, making the aura of the Tibetan Dharma King more and more powerful. That is the power of faith. Is this telepathy? Li Hao murmured, a glint flashing in his eyes. The power of faith is the power of thought. This is a special cultivation method. The more people believe in it, the more thought power can be condensed, and the stronger the power becomes. Li Hao was not affected at all, and there was a fierce look in his eyes. That's right, telekinesis. Even if you are strong, you are definitely not my opponent now. I will let you be my disciple. At this time, the Tibetan Dharma king spoke sharply to Li Hao again. Boom. The next moment, powerful power burst out directly, and the figure of the Tibetan Dharma king became extremely majestic. At this moment, he really looked like a Taoist immortal Buddha. Town. The Dharma king Zhang shouted angrily and pointed his finger at Li Hao. Under this finger, the color of the world suddenly changed. Buzz buzz. The whole space was trembling, and there was an invisible force heading towards Li Hao. It was that power of thought. A single finger of telekinesis contains powerful power of faith. It is invisible and cannot hurt the body, but it can destroy gods and crush the opponent's spirit. Boom. Li Hao could feel that a shocking crisis was coming, which made Li Hao's heart tremble again. Buzz. Just at this moment, Li Hao's eyes burst out with a sharp edge again. Boom. The power of cultivation in the later stage of pill formation burst out instantly, without any reservation. Li Hao still stood there way ran, but there was also an invisible force being exerted. Buzz. Immediately afterwards, a dense black mist appeared around Li Hao's body. There are endless tiny insects that are difficult to see with the naked eye. Goo insect. Densely packed and countless. Divine goo. At this moment, Li Hao directly used the divine goo technique. At this moment, when the Dharma king Zhang saw this scene, he couldn't help but feel surprised, but he sneered again. Goo worms. You actually know how to use worms. But it's useless. These worms can't even get into me. However, the voice of Dharma king Zhang has not yet fallen. The goo insects around Li Hao's body dispersed in an instant, not towards the Dharma king Zhang, but towards the believers and worshippers of the Tibetan Dharma king around him. In an instant, they were leaning over these people and got into their bodies. In an instant, Li Hao established a connection with these people through these goo insects. Mala burp beep beep. Li Hao was also chanting a spell, stretched out his hand and kept drawing circles in the void. Draw a circle and curse. This is witchcraft. Witchcraft and goo were all cast. At the same time, Li Hao cast the witchcraft without hesitation. The witchcraft cursed the power of the Zangdi Dharma king directly through the connection between the poisonous insect and those people, and then through the connection with the Zangdi Dharma king. At this moment, the witchcraft directly played a role, acting on the source of the power of the Zangdi Dharma king. Then, the people around stood up again uncontrollably, as if they had struggled out of a quagmire. Boom. This is the collision of telekinesis and witchcraft. This is also the best way Li Hao can think of to defeat the opponent at this moment. At this moment, the smile on the face of the Zangdi Dharma king froze instantly. At this moment, he was shocked to feel that the connection between him and those believers seemed to be cut off, and at the same time, there was a curse force eroding him. Puff. The next moment, a large mouthful of blood spurted out of the mouth of the Zangdi Dharma king, and his telekinesis instantly broke apart. Ah! A scream suddenly sounded from the mouth of the Zangdi Dharma king. The face of the Dharma king of Zangdi was filled with horror again. He couldn't believe what was happening before his eyes. He was actually hit hard by the backlash. Under this powerful backlash, his body was directly damaged. How could this happen? How could this happen? The Dharma king of Zangdi said in horror. His aura also dissipated directly at this moment. His breath was extremely weak in an instant. He collapsed to the ground. All his strength was annihilated. He looked even more embarrassed. At this moment, the faces of the people around him were also suddenly shocked. It was as if they had just woken up from a dream and saw the scene in front of them. They knew what had just happened, but their bodies were not under control at all. They were like walking corpses. After waking up, they were shocked again. The next moment, everyone looked at the Dharma king of Zangdi again with different eyes. It turned out that the Dharma King would also lose, and twice. Ah! What Dharma King? It turns out I have been wrong all along. At some point, someone suddenly said, but they no longer had the faith in the Dharma King of Zangdi. Their faith had already collapsed when they saw the Dharma King fail twice and try to control and influence them. At this moment, even the look of Kyangba and Master Nima and others when they looked at the Dharma King of Zangdi had changed. Is this the person you believe in? At this time, Li Hao said lightly again. When everyone heard Li Hao's words, they were silent again. Are we all wrong? Big brother, are you all wrong? God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 313. Is it wrong? Is it really wrong? At this moment, these people saw that the Dharma King of Zhang was defeated again, and the faith that had just been born in their hearts collapsed again, and they began to doubt themselves. Brother, are we wrong? That little Tashi, there was also a trace of doubt in the childish eyes at this moment. He was also confused, helpless, and at a loss. He didn't know what to do next. There is nothing wrong with your belief. What is wrong is the object of your belief. When Li Hao heard this little Tashi's voice, his heart couldn't help but move, and he immediately said calmly. It is better to ask for others than to ask for yourself, and it is better to believe in others than to believe in yourself. When you become strong enough, why do you need to believe in others? Li Hao's voice spread faintly again, but when it fell into everyone's ears, they were shocked again. It is better to believe in yourself than to believe in others. When you become strong enough, why do you need to believe in others? Li Hao's words were very simple, but they shocked everyone. It's like a wise saying that makes everyone's heart suddenly enlightened. Many people's hearts have received a violent shock at this moment, and they are fighting against their original hearts. Gradually, someone's eyes burst out with brightness, and their moods changed at this moment. Yeah, it's better to ask for others than to ask for yourself. As long as you are strong, there is no need for others to believe in you. Someone said again, looking at the Dharma King Zhang with a different look. But not long after, they all looked at Li Hao one after another, and their eyes changed drastically, with a little more admiration and a touch of faith in their eyes. At this moment, these people involuntarily gave birth to some power, and that power condensed towards Li Hao through their connection with Li Hao. Boom! Suddenly, Li Hao's aura became more and more powerful, and Li Hao's cultivation actually became much stronger at this moment. From the late stage of pill formation to the peak of pill formation, it is only one step away from becoming a god. Is this telepathy? Li Hao felt the changes in his body and his eyes widened in disbelief. This is clearly the power of faith. The power of faith in these people actually condenses towards themselves, making their cultivation stronger. What an unexpected surprise. This was something Li Hao didn't expect at all. The power of these beliefs was originally generated by these people's belief in the Dharma King of Zhang. The Dharma King of Zhang established contact with these people through special Dharma methods to make himself stronger. But just now, Li Hao he used witchcraft and divine poison to establish contact with these people, but also cut off the connection between these people and the Dharma King of Zhang. The Dharma King of Zhang suffered a backlash because of this, and the original power of faith of those people was fed back to Li Hao through this connection with Li Hao, which directly benefited Li Hao greatly. Inadvertently, Li Hao's majestic figure has planted seeds in everyone's hearts. Li Hao, you are so awesome. At this time, next to Li Hao, Yeshun also said to Li Hao, her beautiful eyes filled with a touch of splendor. A smile appeared on Li Hao's face, and he looked at the Dharma King Zhang in front of him again. At this moment, the aura of your Dharma King Zhang is extremely weak, with no strength at all. Li Hao moved and walked directly towards the Dharma King Zhang. Soon, Li Hao came to the Dharma King Zhang again. What are you going to do? A look of fear appeared on the face of Dharma King Zhangdi, and he said to Li Hao in horror. At this moment, Dharma King Zhang felt a sharp light coming from Li Hao's eyes in front of him, thinking that Li Hao was going to attack him. What? What do you think? When Li Hao heard the voice of Zhangdi Dharma King, another hint of ridicule appeared in his eyes. Of course I'll kill you. As Li Hao's voice came out, a hint of panic suddenly appeared in the heart of the Dharma King Zhang, and his whole person had fallen to the bottom. Boom! The next moment, another powerful aura appeared on Li Hao's body. The peak momentum of the Dan formation realm swept across the world, shocking the sky, and changing the color of the entire situation. Li Hao looked closely at the Dharma King Zhangdi in front of him, with a cold look in his eyes. Instantly, Dharma King Zhangdi felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. He felt that his body could not move and his breathing became extremely suppressed. Extremely scary. Death is coming. Boom. Immediately afterwards, you stretched out a hand directly towards the Dharma King Zhang, and suddenly that hand condensed extremely rich spiritual power. As the spiritual power surged, Li Hao's momentum rose to the extreme. The next moment, a pair of invisible big hands directly strangled the neck of the Dharma King Zhang. Dharma King Zhang's eyes widened. No, don't kill me. Dharma King Zhang made a difficult voice and begged Li Hao for mercy. He is a monk in the middle stage of the Dan formation realm. He is still very young. His future is unlimited and he does not want to die. At this moment, he had completely put down his dignity. Li Hao did not take action directly, but looked at the Dharma King Zhangdi in his hand and said coldly. You don't have to die if you don't want to, just swallow this goo insect. As Li Hao's voice fell, a small golden insect suddenly appeared in Li Hao's other hand. It was a golden silkworm. The Zhangdi Dharma King's face flushed, and fear appeared in his eyes, but at this moment he had no choice. In the face of death, he chose to surrender. The next moment, the golden cicada insect went directly into the mouth of the Zhangdi Dharma King, and the Zhangdi Dharma King could only watch the golden silkworm enter his mouth directly, and then drill into his body and into his heart. The golden silkworm absorbed the physical spiritual power of the Zhangdi Dharma King, devoured the blood of the Zhangdi Dharma King, and controlled his life. A feeling of being controlled filled the Zhangdi Dharma King's heart. At the same time, Li Hao could clearly feel that he had a touch of control over the Zhangdi Dharma King. In a moment, Li Hao could control the insect and control the life and death of the Zhangdi Dharma King. The Zhangdi Dharma King, who originally wanted Li Hao to become a believer, now had his life in Li Hao's mind, which was not ordinary miserable. As for the poisonous insects on other people, Li Hao directly removed them. Li Hao released his hand on the neck of the Tibetan Dharma King, threw the body of the Tibetan Dharma King aside, and said to the Tibetan Dharma King coldly. You should have Tianshan snow lotus here, right? Tianshan snow lotus. The Tibetan Dharma King was surprised and said when he heard Li Hao's words. Yes, I wonder how many you want. Are there any 100-year-old ones? Li Hao asked again. The next moment, the Tibetan Dharma King shook his head again, and then asked Li Hao again. What do you want the 100-year-old snow lotus for? Is it something you should ask? Li Hao's face suddenly sank, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. The Tibetan Dharma King's face suddenly changed again, remembering that he was already someone else's slave at this moment. Well, I don't mean anything else. There is indeed no 100-year-old snow lotus in my Fa Wang temple. If you want to find a 100-year-old snow lotus, I'm afraid you can only go to Tianshan Mountain. Zhangdi Fa Wang said again. Is there one in the sky? Li Hao immediately asked in a deep voice. Many years ago, when I was still in the foundation building stage, I went to Tianshan Mountain once and saw a snow lotus next to Tianke. It should be quite old, and it is very likely a 100-year-old snow lotus, but... Zhangdi Fa Wang was silent again, and said in a deep voice, reciting a scene many years ago. Hearing the words of Zhangdi Fawang, Li Hao's eyes burst into a gleam of light again, and he immediately asked Zhangdi Fawang. But what? But there was a powerful monster guarding the snow lotus that day. If I hadn't run fast, I would have become its meal. Zhangdi Dharma King said directly. When he said this, a trace of lingering fear appeared on his face, as if the scene of the past appeared in front of him. Hearing the words of Zhangdi Dharma King, Li Hao was shocked again. Monster? Yes, a powerful monster. It should have been born with spiritual intelligence. I was in the middle stage of foundation building at that time, but I couldn't bear its tail at all. But now so many years have passed, I don't know if the snow lotus is still there, and how powerful this monster has become. Zhangdi Dharma King said again. In that case, lead the way. I want to go and see the monster you mentioned. Li Hao's face showed a smile again, and he said lightly, as if he didn't take the monster seriously. Hearing Li Hao's words, the face of the Zhangdi Dharma King changed again. He could not disobey Li Hao's words and could only take Li Hao with him. Li Hao felt a sense of expectation at this moment. If the snow lotus was still there, it would be the best. If not, it would be good to go and see the monster mentioned by the Zhangdi Dharma King. But at this moment, Li Hao's side turned to the position of the little boy again. A voice of surprise suddenly came out of Li Hao's mouth. Huh! Because at this moment, in Li Hao's eyes, a big exclamation mark appeared on the head of the little boy's axis in front of him. The exclamation mark shone with a bright light. Prompt. This is clearly another prompt from the system. There was no exclamation mark on the head of the little boy just now, but it suddenly appeared at this moment, which made Li Hao's eyes appear with a strange color again. Without saying anything, Li Hao directly clicked on the exclamation mark. Suddenly, a QR code popped up. It was the QR code for system payment, and Li Hao needed to transfer 20,000 yuan to get the prompt information. Li Hao did not hesitate at all and clicked to confirm. Li Hao was not short of money now, and 20,000 yuan was nothing to him. Suddenly, Li Hao's mobile phone text message alert sounded, and it was clear that this was a bank transfer information prompt. Ding dong, this is an innocent child, this is a poor child, his father died, and his mother is about to die, and the estimated time of death is 15 minutes. For more prompt information, please click downward arrow. A mechanical voice rang out, and a prompt message suddenly appeared on the system interface. After Li Hao saw this message, his face changed again. Is this little Zaxi's mother going to die? She only has less than 15 minutes to live. Li Hao immediately clicked the downward arrow again. Then a confirmation button appeared. Li Hao clicked confirm again without any hesitation. The balance in the bank account where I met Li Hao dropped by another 40,000 yuan. The child cannot see his mother for the last time, and his grandma will also die of heart failure with the death of his mother. What? Not only will his mother die, but his grandma will also die. Moreover, little Tashi had no idea what was happening in his family at this moment, let alone that his mother and grandma were about to die. He could not even see his mother and grandma for the last time. What could be sadder than this? If this happened, it's really hard to imagine how this little Tashi could survive. Now that I have let myself encounter it, such a sad thing will never happen in the future. The next moment, your number flashed and you were in front of little Tashi in an instant. Your mother is dying. Li Hao said directly to little Tashi. Ah! What did you say? When little Zaxi heard Li Hao's words, his expression suddenly changed and he asked Li Hao. I said your mother was dying. Li Hao said directly to little Tashi again. Although little Tashi was very young, he also understood what death meant, and the person in front of him who said this was this god who was more powerful than the king of Dharma. In the eyes of little Tashi, Li Hao was no different from a god at this moment, and he immediately believed Li Hao's words. Please save my mother, fairy brother. Little Tashi begged Li Hao and said, while kneeling down to Li Hao. Li Hao gently raised his hand to stop little Tashi from kneeling down, but then asked with a smile. Now do you believe I can save your mother? Little Tashi nodded heavily to Li Hao. Let's go. Go save your mother first. Seeing this scene, Li Hao said calmly. In the doubtful eyes of little Tashi, Li Hao took Yeshun's jade hand next to him, and held him directly with the other hand. The next moment, Li Hao's body suddenly exuded a powerful aura. Endless spiritual power circulated around Li Hao's body, instantly enveloping the bodies of Li Hao, Yeshun and little Tashi next to him. Boom! Then a strong wind came up. Everyone in the field watched in shock as a storm suddenly swept across the field. The next second, Li Hao, Yeshun and little Tashi were no longer in sight. Li Hao used his powerful cultivation power to directly lead Xiao Tashi and Yeshun to ride on the wind. At this moment, the situation was urgent and it was important to save people. There was only less than 15 minutes left. If we were traveling normally, we would definitely not be able to make it in time. As a last resort, Li Hao had no choice but to use the monk's methods. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 314. Li Hao took Yeshun and Xiao Zaxi with him, his body was enveloped by spiritual power, and he was walking in the wind at extremely fast speeds. At present, little Tashi's mother's life was in danger, so Li Hao did not hesitate to use the monk's methods. The countless people in front of Dharma King Temple were extremely excited when they saw this scene. This is the real God. As for the Dharma King Zhang, when he saw this scene, he took out a jade bottle, filled it with a few black pills, and then swallowed it directly. These pills are very common healing medicines, but they still have some effect on his current injuries. The next moment, Dharma King Zhangdi recovered a little strength, then started to use his cultivation power, and also headed in the direction where Li Hao left. He has been poisoned by the golden silkworm goo by Li Hao. His wealth and life are in Li Hao's hands. Just now Li Hao asked him to lead the way, so naturally he has to follow, and there is already a connection between him and Li Hao. Each other can also feel each other's position. Yeshun and Xiao Zaxi were enveloped by Li Hao's cultivation power. They felt that the surrounding scenes were constantly changing. After a moment, they saw a tall mountain approaching from far away. Appeared at their feet. Immediately afterwards, the two finally felt their feet were on solid ground. Li Hao led the two of them to the ground, and at this moment, the three figures had already landed on the mountain in front of them. In front of us, the sky is blue and the wilderness is vast, but it is a grassy field. A dilapidated house suddenly appeared in front of the three people. This house was built with some wood and looked very dilapidated. The road was also filled with mud. When he saw the house in front of him, little Tashi couldn't help but feel happy. This is my home. This is my home. Little Tashi suddenly said very excitedly. He didn't expect that he would have returned home in this short time. The next moment, little Tashi shouted excitedly into the house. Mom, Grandma, I'm back. Little Tashi was so excited that he immediately ran towards the house and opened the wooden door skillfully. Come on, let's go in too. Li Hao immediately said directly to Yeshun beside him, and then the two of them followed. Little Tashi opened the door of the house and immediately saw a middle-aged woman with a pale face and bloodless face lying on the bed in the room. Her hair was disheveled and she looked extremely ill. Cough cough. Cough cough cough. The woman was lying on her side on the bed, coughing non-stop, as if she was coughing out her lungs. On the ground beside the bed, there was an old basin with some congestion in it. It's a bit more infiltrative when you go up. Ahem. After a few more coughs, the middle-aged woman vomited out a mouthful of blood. Her face turned even paler. She was extremely weak and her vitality was almost gone. Next to this middle-aged woman, there is a white-haired old man from Zhang district sitting. This old man looks like he is 70 or 80 years old. His old childish face is full of vicissitudes of life, and he is wearing Zhang district's unique national costume. At this moment his eyes were also extremely dull. Mom, ahem, I'm afraid I'm going to die. It turns out that my daughter has to take a step forward. On the bed, the middle-aged woman used her last strength to speak to the old man next to her. She was still coughing as she spoke. She knew that she was afraid that she would die. But what she couldn't worry about was that she wouldn't be able to survive. A 10-year-old child, if she leaves, it will be a disaster for her child. However, she was already dying. She could feel that her life was passing away rapidly, and she was afraid that she might not even see her child for the last time. Also, if she dies, her child can only be entrusted to her mother, and her mother is already 78 years old. She has worked hard all her life and has never enjoyed 2 days of happiness. She had to take care of her sick child, and now that she was leaving, she also had to take care of her child. She felt guilty, but there was nothing she could do. Heaven, earth, Buddha, please open your eyes. What evil did my woman do in her previous life to deserve such a disaster? When the old man next to him heard what the middle-aged woman on the bed said, his tears couldn't help but fall down, and he said sadly and angrily, Ahem. Grandma, Tashi can only ask for your help. He is still young. It's hard on him. It's also hard on Grandma, cough. The middle-aged woman on the bed asked the old man again. But at this time, the door of the house was opened, and a small figure appeared in the sight of the woman and the old man. Ah, Mom. How are you? Mom, I'm back. When Tashi saw his mother and grandma, his face changed color instantly. He saw his mother's appearance, which was much different from the appearance more than a month ago. Moreover, he also saw the blood in the basin. I also became a little scared. Little Tashi immediately came to the bedside. Mom, what's wrong with you? I'm back. I'm back, Grandma, what's wrong with my mother? Why is she vomiting blood? Little Tashi shouted in panic again. When the middle-aged women and old men saw little Tashi, there was a hint of surprise on their faces. Tashi, why are you back? The old man asked Tashi. Ahem. It's good that you're okay. It's good that you're back. Ahem. If Mom is dying, she can still see you for the last time. Mom is satisfied. Ahem. The middle-aged woman on the bed, that is, the mother of little Zaxi, held the hand of little Zaxi and stretched out her hand to touch the face of little Zaxi. But at this moment. Ahem. Wow. The mother of little Zaxi stretched out her hand halfway, but before she touched the face of little Zaxi, she coughed twice again, and then she made another urgent wow, and spit out a large mouthful of blood on the ground. The hand of little Zaxi's mother stopped in the air, and then, as if she had used up all her strength, she fell straight on the bed again. Ah! Mom! Mom! Mom, wake up! What's wrong with you? Mom! When little Zaxi saw this scene, his face changed again, and he screamed in panic. Beside. Azu, Azu, wake up! How can you bear to leave Zaxi? How can you bear to leave your mother? My daughter, why are you so pitiful? When the old man saw this scene, his face was filled with grief, and he kept talking. By the way, holy water. Zaxi, did you get the holy water from the Dharma King? Suddenly, the old man remembered that the little Zaxi went to worship this time, but it was specifically to ask for a cup of holy water from the Dharma King temple, and the little Zaxi actually came back at this moment. Did he get the holy water? At the moment, the only thing that could save her daughter was the holy water from the Dharma King, and the old man immediately asked the little Zaxi again. "Grandma, I didn't get the holy water." When the little Zaxi heard what his grandmother said, he immediately shook his head and said, "What? No holy water?" When the old man heard what the young Tashi said, his old face showed some despair. He didn't get the holy water. Doesn't that mean that her daughter is really dead and there is no hope? "Grandma, I didn't get the holy water, but I brought back a fairy brother." At this time, the young Tashi suddenly said again, and the words he said made the old man startled again. "Fairy." Before the old man could make a sound of surprise. At this time, a handsome figure also appeared at the door, and behind this young man, there was an extremely beautiful woman. "Fairy brother, please save my mother," little Tashi hurriedly said to Li Hao. "Don't worry. I'm here to save your mother," Li Hao said directly, and then he came directly to the bedside. Looking at the woman lying on the bed, Li Hao's face was also condensed. The woman in front of him was really terminally ill. At this moment, she was only breathing in but not out. It can be said that she had half a foot in the gate of hell. If I had come 2 minutes later, she would have really died. With my current cultivation, I couldn't really save her. 11 minutes. 11 minutes had passed since Li Hao received the prompt message from Xiao Zaxi's head. At this moment, Xiao Zaxi's mother was dying, but she was not really dead. She was just in a state of suspended animation and coma. The blood and vitality of her body were only 1/10 of what was left. It was very dangerous. "Even if you step half a foot into the gates of hell, I will pull you back from the gates of hell." Boom. The next moment, a powerful aura suddenly appeared on Li Hao's body, and Li Hao's cultivation power started to work instantly. Then, another jade needle appeared in Li Hao's hand, which was one of the Tianqian 9 needles. With the jade needle in hand, there was a touch of cultivation spiritual power attached to it. Li Hao didn't hesitate at all and stabbed the woman's chest directly. The first needle of the Tianqian 9 needles fell. And this needle directly injected vitality into Xiao Zaxi and extended his life. At the same time, Li Hao also sensed the physical condition of Xiao Zaxi's mother. Bad. It's not just bad. It's a lung problem. In medicine, this is lung cancer. And it's in the late stage of lung cancer. A real terminal illness. Li Hao's heart was condensed again, but there was a gleam of brilliance in his eyes. What if it's a terminal illness? Since it's in his hands. Even the most terminal illness can be cured with a needle. So, Li Hao didn't hesitate at all, and he had another jade needle in his hand. The jade needle was shining with spiritual light, containing a magical power. Without saying a word, the second needle of Tianqian 9 needles was also directly dropped. After the second needle was dropped, Xiao Zaxi's mother finally recovered her weak breathing. Next to him, Xiao Zaxi and his grandmother watched the scene closely, without saying a word, and didn't dare to breathe. When Yashiun saw this scene, she also held her breath. Yashiun looked at Li Hao's rescue look at this moment, with seriousness on his handsome face, and her heart trembled again. That was heartthrob. Li Hao at this moment was so charming that she was obsessed with him and couldn't extricate herself. Not long after, there was another figure at the door, a figure wearing monk's robes. It was the Dharma King of Zhangde. He also watched the scene quietly without saying a word, but when he saw the jade needle in Li Hao's hand, his heart was extremely shocked. That jade needle was also extraordinary. It should also be a powerful magic weapon. In the late stage of the Jindan realm, he also knew the witchcraft and possessed the thunder method. At this moment, he actually took out this jade needle magic weapon. Thinking of this, the Dharma King of Zhangde felt that the guy in front of him was extraordinary and that it was not a coincidence that he could defeat him. The next moment, After Li Hao put down the second needle, he still did not stop, and quickly took out the third jade needle. Then the fourth needle. Li Hao's movements were fast and smooth. When Li Hao put down the sixth needle of the Tianqian 9 needles, the mother of little Zaxi on the bed actually opened her eyes, and her face actually regained some color. "Ah! Mom! My daughter, you finally woke up." When little Zaxi and his grandmother saw this scene, their faces suddenly brightened and they shouted excitedly. "What happened to me?" On the bed, little Zaxi's mother woke up and said in surprise. She felt like she was in another world. She was in extreme pain just now, but now she couldn't feel it at all. She was only extremely comfortable. Although she was still a little weak, at least her body didn't hurt at all, and it seemed that her breathing became smoother. "Well? Really well?" little Zaxi's grandmother said excitedly. "Brother Shenxian, is my mother's illness well?" Little Zaxi looked at Li Hao, his eyes full of hope. "Yeah." Li Hao nodded lightly, with a relieved smile on his face. "That's great, that's great. Mom, you're really well." Hearing Li Hao's words, little Zaxi got confirmation and became excited again. "Thank you. Thank you so much. You saved my daughter." Little Zaxi's grandmother immediately said to Li Hao gratefully. "Thank you." On the bed, little Zaxi's mother was also very grateful. 3 generations hugged each other, very excited. "Zaxi, hurry up and give the benefactor tea," the old man suddenly said to little Zaxi, and then he remembered that it had been so long and he hadn't poured tea for the guests. "Okay. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have received the reward, Tathagata Palm, Mastery of Formation." But at this moment, a mechanical voice rang in Li Hao's mind. It was the system's prompt. Reward. Li Hao had just saved the life of this little Tashi's mother, and the system directly gave him a reward. It was really timely. Tathagata Palm, Mastery of Formation? When Li Hao heard this reward, he was shocked again. The system actually directly rewarded him with the Tathagata Palm. Li Hao couldn't help but swear excitedly. The name of Tathagata Palm is simply well known. It is an extremely powerful Buddhist palm method. With one palm, Tathagata Buddha descended. Suppress the world. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 315. In Li Hao's mind, a majestic message suddenly poured in. It was the Tathagata Palm and the essence of the formation. There is no need for Li Hao to joke at all. The methods and formations of the Tathagata Divine Palm are as if they are embedded in Li Hao's memory and can be used directly. The Tathagata's Divine Palm is a powerful palm seal of Buddhism. Once the Divine Palm is released, it will be like the great sun Tathagata coming directly to suppress the heaven and earth. The proficiency in that formation directly made Li Hao a formation master, able to perform various formations with ease. Formation is an extremely wonderful method in the world. The heaven and earth have spirits, and all things have patterns, and those patterns are the laws of all things. By mastering this law, you can grasp the origin of all things. There are many kinds of formations in the world, including killing formations, defensive formations, spirit-gathering formations, psychedelic formations, and thunder formations. Each formation has different functions and different powers. At this moment, Li Hao had many formations in his mind. What an extraordinary harvest! Li Hao was also extremely happy and excited. He didn't expect that he would receive such a reward after saving Tashi's mother. After Li Hao rescued little Tashi's mother, he directly injected 2 injections into little Tashi's grandmother next to her. Little Tashi's grandma is already old and frail, and her life is about to come to an end. Maybe she will return to the West soon, but with the 2 needles from Li Hao, little Tashi's grandma is still alive. It was replenished again, and Li Hao's cultivation spiritual power nourished the body of little Grandma Tashi, allowing her to live for at least another 10 years. Since everything is fine, let's go. Li Hao said to Yexiun beside him again. Yexiun nodded. Then Li Hao and Yexiun left directly, and Zhang de Dharma King followed closely behind Li Hao. Afterwards, Li Hao was led by the Dharma King Zhang, all the way up the Tianshan mountain. According to the Dharma King of Zhangde, Tiantian Lake is above the sky, and the century-old snow lotus is also growing next to Tiantian Lake, and there are powerful monsters guarding it. Of course, this happened many years ago. The specific situation is still unknown at the moment. Is Swilian still there? Is that monster still there? The temperature gets lower as we go to Tianshan Mountain. The mountain is already covered with snow and is thousands of meters above sea level. Even Yexiun, who was next to Li Hao, couldn't help shivering from the cold. Seeing this scene, Li Hao directly took Yexiun's hand, and the power of cultivation began to circulate. The protective spiritual power enveloped Li Hao's sister Yexiun, resisting the wind, snow, and cold. Under Li Hao's protection, Yexiun didn't appear to be the slightest bit strange. Yexiun also had a soft look in her eyes when she looked at Li Hao. Being protected by Li Hao, she felt very relieved for no reason. Finally, nearly an hour passed. In front of the three people, their vision suddenly opened up, and a huge lake appeared in front of them. This lake is surrounded by snow. I don't know how deep it is. It looks very calm and is extremely deep. At this moment, the weather was sunny, but the lake was filled with a faint chill. Is this Tianke? Seeing the lake in front of him, Li Hao's heart moved. The spiritual energy here was extremely rich. It was not an exaggeration to call it a holy land for cultivation. And these auras are clearly born from the water. There must be spiritual veins under this Tianke. Wow, so beautiful. Next to her, Yexiun looked at the scene in front of her. The sun shone brightly on the Tianke lake, and coupled with the glittering white snow, the scenery was simply beautiful to the extreme. Right over there. At this time, Dharma King Zhangde said to Li Hao again, and then led the way in one direction along the shore of Tianke Lake. Soon, it was more than 10 minutes later. Dharma King Zhangde took Li Hao to a cliff on the edge of Tianke. The shining light was very high and winding, blocking people's sight. Where is it still? It's still there. Look, that snow lotus. At this moment, Dharma King Zhang suddenly pointed in a direction and said excitedly. Li Hao and Yexiun also looked in that direction after hearing Dharma King Zhangde's words. Suddenly, the two of them saw a huge white flower growing on a shining building in front of them. It was a snow lotus. Moreover, the height of this snow lotus is very high, even reaching an astonishing 1 meter, and its blooming flowers are even more huge. Faintly, Li Hao also noticed that there were traces of golden lines on the petals of the snow lotus. The top and bottom of the snow lotus were shining with spiritual light and looked very bright. Wow, what a beautiful flower! Is this the snow lotus? Yexiun next to her couldn't help but say something when she saw the snow lotus. Yes, this is snow lotus. Li Hao suddenly said in a deep voice. What's more, it's a century-old snow lotus king. Li Hao said in a deep voice again, the snow lotus in front of him is really a century-old snow lotus. This century-old snow lotus is the most important medicinal material used by Li Hao to refine the magic pill. It is not an exaggeration to call it a medicine primer. Seeing this century-old snow lotus, Li Hao immediately felt that he had found the answer to his magic pill. Li Hao looked at the snow lotus with a bright look in his eyes, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. It's a sure win. Li Hao is determined to get this century-old snow lotus king. Li Hao did not take action directly, but looked at Tianke Lake again. Is your monster in this water? Li Hao said to Dharma King Zhangde. Yeah. When I came that year, I was about to pick up the snow lotus. Unexpectedly, it suddenly came out and almost killed me. Dharma King Zhangdi immediately said again, even now he still seems to be frightened. Li Hao couldn't help but feel shocked when he heard the words of Dharma King Zhangdi, and immediately cast his eyes on the Tianqi again. The calm lake has no ripples. Even though Li Hao used his spiritual sense to detect the situation in the water, he never thought that Li Hao's spiritual sense could not detect it, and something followed it, blocking all perception. Wait for me, I'll get this Snow Lotus King. At this time, Li Hao spoke directly to Yexiun and Nazang Dharma King beside him. Careful. Yexiun heard Li Hao's voice and immediately said to Li Hao with concern. Don't worry, even if there are monsters, they can't do anything to me. Li Hao said directly again, full of strong confidence. The next moment, Li Hao moved directly towards the century-old Snow Lotus King, wanting to pick it. But at this moment, seeing it, Li Hao's palm was about to catch this fairy Snow Lotus King. However, at some point, some spiritual mist strangely appeared on the surface of Tianqi Lake. This mist directly enveloped the entire Tianqi Lake, blocking everyone's sight. Just then, Li Hao's hand was about to grab the fairy Snow Lotus King. Buzz! The surface of the lake actually trembled uncontrollably, as if something was about to break out of the lake. Boom! A powerful aura of cultivation instantly filled the air. The next moment, roar! A huge beast roar suddenly resounded in this space. Immediately afterwards, in the water of Tianqi, a huge black shadow appeared in the originally clear water. Inside the lake, he is in the lake. At this time, Dharma King Nazang saw the scene and immediately said to Li Hao. The dark shadow in Chihu that day was huge and very long. Just at this moment, a blood-red mouth appeared from the lake, causing huge ripples. It was a giant black python. This giant python was several feet long, and its body was as black as ink. At this moment, it bit Li Hao with its mouth wide open. Li Hao, be careful. Seeing this scene, Yexiun also turned pale, and quickly shouted to Li Hao, wanting to remind Li Hao. Li Hao watched the giant python bite towards him. Li Hao's face condensed and his brows furrowed. Li Hao could tell at a glance that the giant python in front of him should have practiced Taoism for hundreds of years. In an instant, Li Hao also reacted directly. The powerful power of cultivation surged instantly. He moved his body and punched directly towards the big mouth of the giant python. Ah! What a big snake! When Yexiun saw this scene, she was also frightened, and even her pretty face turned a little pale. She had never seen such a big python before, it was simply too scary. Li Hao, be careful. Yexiun kept talking to Li Hao, with a touch of worry on her pretty face. Bang! Suddenly, a huge roar resounded instantly, making the entire space tremble. The next moment, the giant python was directly knocked back by Li Hao's punch, but Li Hao's body was stunned. Seeing this scene, Li Hao's expression became condensed again. The Taoism of this giant python is comparable to that of a monk in the Danja realm. Li Hao even felt that this giant python was stronger than the Dharma King Zhang. Moreover, this guy has the body of a monster, with rough skin and thick flesh, and is very frank. The punch he just punched just knocked him back, but it didn't have much impact. This made Li Hao frown again. Bang! The water bursts. I saw this giant python fall into Tianqi again, and then kept swimming in the Tianqi water, causing huge ripples. The next moment, it rushed out from another direction and headed towards Li Hao again. Boom! Boom! Li Hao's body suddenly had a spiritual light flowing, and the powerful power was directly concentrated on Li Hao's body, and he punched away again, with extremely powerful power in his fist. Bang! A dull sound suddenly resounded, and Li Hao's punch collided with the giant python again, causing the space to tremble. After the violent collision, Li Hao's body was knocked back again, and Li Hao actually felt a little pain in his fist. On the opposite side, the giant python's body was also knocked back. The next second, the giant python got into the Tianka water again. At this time, a thick fog appeared on the entire lake, blocking the line of sight, making it difficult to see the specific situation in the lake. Li Hao's naked eyes could not clearly see the giant python in the Tianka water, but Li Hao's spiritual sense could clearly perceive the situation in the lake. "This is not the way to go," Li Hao murmured, and another glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. "This mist is clearly the python's method. If it continues to be consumed, it will be very detrimental to itself." At the same time, the two people not far away, Zhang de Dharma King and Yexiun, were extremely shocked when they saw this scene. Yexiun's pretty face was full of worry, but Zhang de Dharma King's face was filled with horror. Li Hao looked at the scene in front of him, his heart condensed, but he had made a decision in the next second. Quick fight and quick decision. Li Hao wanted to make a quick decision. The current Li Hao is not the same as before, and now he has many means. Boom boom boom. At this moment, huge waves appeared on the surface of Tianka Lake, and those waves kept circling, and then a terrifying storm appeared. Whoosh. At this moment, a huge black figure in the storm swallowed and bit Li Hao again. In the storm, it was the giant python, who was actually using means. It might be an innate talent, but the power it exerted was extraordinary. Li Hao saw this scene, his face condensed again, but his eyes showed a very sharp edge. Li Hao still stood in the same place. Boom. But in the next moment, in Li Hao's body, the unparalleled power of cultivation was fully released. At the same time, on Li Hao's body, there was a golden glow flowing and rising. The golden light was the Buddha's light, which enveloped Li Hao in it, but it was extremely dazzling. A strange wave was born in an instant, and Li Hao was bathed in the Buddha's light. The whole person looked even more solemn and solemn. Buzz buzz buzz. At this moment, the whole world was shaking. Endless Sanskrit sounds rang out between heaven and earth. What is that? At this time, the Dharma King of Zhangdi saw the scene on Li Hao and couldn't help but take a breath of cold air and said in shock. "I saw that an extremely majestic figure appeared on Li Hao's body. That figure was a Buddha, standing upright, standing there, as if above all living beings." Li Hao's figure overlapped with that of the Buddha. At this moment, Li Hao seemed to have turned into a Buddha. Li Hao was seen muttering something, and then pointing to the sky with one hand and the ground with the other. "I am the only one who reigns supreme in heaven and earth." Li Hao's proud voice resounded, but it was filled with an incomparable domineering power. "Tathagata palm. Go." Then, Li Hao shouted again and slammed his palm directly in front of him. This palm looked ordinary except for a touch of Buddhist power. But the next moment, the entire Tianka was overturned, and the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. This palm directly hit the giant python. Roar! The giant python's eyes were filled with incomparable fear, and it even roared in pain. But as this palm fell, the giant python's huge body exploded directly and turned into pieces. It was simply crushing. The power of Tathagata palm is so terrifying. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 316. The Buddha's palm came out, suppressing the heaven and earth, and directly crushed the giant python into pieces. Silence. The scene was silent. The mountains collapsed and the ground cracked, and the water in Tianka became turbid. Seeing this scene, the face of the Dharma King of Zhangdi was full of horror. He opened his mouth wide, and there was a huge wave in his heart. That was a giant python comparable to the Jindan realm. It had 100 years of Taoism, plus its thick skin and flesh. Even if he faced it, he would not have the slightest chance of winning. But this giant python was turned into ashes under Li Hao's palm. Strong. It was simply too strong. What a terrible method is this! The Dharma king of Zhangde was even a little fortunate that he did not offend Li Hao too much and let him want to kill him. Otherwise, he would not be able to stand here. And he was too arrogant before. He dared to talk to Li Hao like that. Now he is a little scared when he thinks about it. As for the fact that the other party had planted the golden silkworm goo, the Dharma king of Zhangde was not unacceptable. If the other party had used such a powerful method before, would he still be alive? No doubt. Li Hao stood there proudly, his clothes fluttering, and his whole body was filled with a transcendent temperament. Then Li Hao's sight suddenly fell on another place. Li Hao made a sound of surprise. Li Hao's sight fell on a position on the bank of Tianke Lake. There was actually something flashing with red spiritual light there. It was a spherical object, which looked only the size of a night pearl, but it had a rich life force and a strong blood essence. Is this demon pill? Li Hao's eyes widened immediately, and his figure flashed, and he had already come to the side of the object, opening his mouth and said in disbelief. That's right, the object in front of him was a demon pill. Demon pills can only be condensed in the bodies of powerful demon beasts, and they are also the essence of demon beasts. This demon pill was left behind by the giant python's explosion. Li Hao looked at the demon pill in front of him and seemed a little surprised. Li Hao had never thought that the giant python actually had a demon pill. But now it seems normal. This giant python has been practicing for 100 years, so it is not surprising that it has a demon pill. What an unexpected harvest! Li Hao grabbed the demon pill without saying a word. Holding the demon pill in his hand, Li Hao could feel the powerful blood and chi power from it, and it also had extremely pure spiritual power. If he refined it directly, he might be able to enter the state of transformation. But Li Hao did not refine it directly, but directly put this waste pill into the system between heaven and earth. Then Li Hao's sight did fall on the Tianshan snow lotus not far away, and there was an excitement in his heart that was difficult to conceal. The next moment, Li Hao's figure flashed, and he floated away directly, riding the wind, and in the blink of an eye he had arrived at the place where the snow lotus was. The 100-year-old snow lotus is right in front of him, which means that the transformation pill has also been found. Without saying anything, Li Hao directly activated his cultivation power, and then pointed directly at the Tianshan snow lotus, and suddenly a powerful spiritual power wrapped the Tianshan snow lotus. Then, the Tianshan snow lotus rose from the ground. Then, it was directly collected by Li Hao into the system world. The 100-year-old Tianshan snow lotus was in hand. Everything happened very quickly, and the battle was over just as it began. This 100-year-old snow lotus fell into Li Hao's hands easily. Looking at the scene in front of him, the Dharma king of Zhangde was shocked again. Let's go. After doing all this, Li Hao said directly to Yeshun behind him. The things to come to the snow area have been done, and now it's time to go back. Yeah. Yeshun just nodded, and a figure appeared beside her. Then, Yeshun's jade hand was held by another big hand. Yeshun's pretty face suddenly blushed, and before Yeshun could say anything, a spiritual power had already wrapped the two of them. The next moment, Li Hao and Yeshun's figures had disappeared from the spot. Li Hao completely ignored the Dharma king of Zhangde behind him and left directly. When the Dharma king of Zhangde saw this scene, he couldn't help himself for a long time. From beginning to end, he was just a spectator and a tool to lead the way, but what he didn't expect was that Li Hao didn't give any instructions and just left directly. Li Hao took Yeshun and flew in the wind again, heading directly to the airport. The two of them got on Li Hao's private plane again, and they were extremely relaxed and comfortable along the way. A few hours later, Li Hao's private plane appeared at Jiangbei Airport again. Li Hao and Yeshun had just walked out of the airport. Li Hao's brows suddenly frowned again. Because a message suddenly appeared in Li Hao's mind. That was the message from the white cat. Li Hao's eyes suddenly condensed. Help! The white cat was actually asking for help from him. The white cat was now very powerful. Not to mention the crushing realm, but at least no cultivator in the foundation building realm could threaten it, and it was a demon beast body and had eaten a lot of Li Hao's pills. But at this moment, in the contractual connection between Li Hao and the white cat, Li Hao could clearly feel that the white cat's current state did not seem to be very good. Injured. That's right, the white cat was actually injured. Who? How dared to hurt the white cat? Is he really that brave? Li Hao couldn't help but feel angry. But in the next moment, a sharp light flashed in Li Hao's eyes. Because, at this moment, Li Hao felt in his mind that Sanyang Taoist was also injured. Sanyang Taoist was also in Jiangbei, and was injured almost at the same time as the white cat. I'm afraid he encountered some powerful enemy. Moreover, in just a moment, the Sanyang Taoist was seriously injured. Something happened at home. I'll go back first, you drive back. Li Hao didn't hesitate at all, and directly gave the key of the Lamborghini to Yexiun, and he himself activated the power of cultivation, and went back first. At the moment, the incident happened suddenly, and the situation was extremely urgent. If he drove back, he would definitely not be able to make it in time. If the white cat and Sanyang Taoist were lost, it would be miserable. So Li Hao directly exerted the fastest speed and went directly to Jiangbei No. 1 courtyard. In an instant, Li Hao was already several miles away. At this moment, Jiangbei No. 1 courtyard. Villa No. 14. Qin Yaking and Linda were standing in a corner, and the two women were looking at the people in front of them with vigilance, and their pretty faces became a little pale. Master, how are you? Are you okay? At this time, Qin Yaking immediately said to a Taoist priest in a Taoist robe in front of her. If it weren't for this Taoist priest, she and Linda might have been taken away by the other party. And the white tiger in front of them seemed to be the white cat in Li Hao's villa opposite. When it saw the two people in danger before, the cat suddenly grew bigger and turned into a strong and huge tiger, directly protecting the two of them behind it. The tiger was injured by the people in front of it, and its mouth was bleeding, and there were many hideous injuries on its body. Who are you? What are you going to do? In broad daylight, I'm going to call the police, I'm going to shout for help. Qin Yaking and Linda immediately looked at the figures in white robes in front of them. On the backs of these figures, there were actually long swords. The leader was a young man who looked to be in his 20s. At this moment, he was looking at Qin Yaking and Linda with an evil look on his face. This young man looked good, but he gave people a sense of evil. Only he didn't have a long sword on his back, but he was shaking a folding fan in his hand. His temperament was not bad, and he looked very extraordinary. Wow, I didn't expect that there would be such two stunning beauties here. I met the best when I went down the mountain. I'm so lucky. The young man looked at the two women in front of him again, and said with a naughty smile. He had basically spent his life in the mountain sects since he was a child. He only went down the mountain once several years ago. This was his second time. This time, he had a chance to have some fun. These secular women made him itch. He wanted to taste them. Who are we? Beauty, it's okay to tell you. We are cultivators who came down from the fairy mountain. We are from Tewa sword section. Even if I tell you, you probably won't know. The young man sneered at Qin Yaking and the others. Hurry up and get rid of this guy. I want to taste these two beauties. The young man said directly, and then continued. By the way, keep this snow leopard for me. I didn't expect to meet a spirit beast here. I'm so lucky. This spirit beast is just right for me to use as a mount. Yes. There were 5 figures around the young man. When they heard what the young man said, they immediately responded. As soon as the voice fell, these figures suddenly burst out with powerful cultivation aura. The worst ones were all in the middle stage of foundation building, and there were 3 in the late stage of foundation building. The strongest one was a white-haired old man. He looked like a young man, but he had a strong aura that made people throbbing. This old man was actually a cultivator in the early stage of Jindan. As for this young man, he was also in the late stage of foundation building. This lineup is really strong. In the whole Dawa, it can easily sweep away some families with deep foundation, but now it appears here. When these people heard the words of this young man, they did not hesitate at all, and immediately burst out with powerful cultivation power and went forward. They had to listen to the orders of the young man in front of them, just because this young man was their young master, the only son of the master, named Qiu Feng. The next moment, these people burst out with amazing power and went forward. Boom! At this time, in front of Qin Yaking and Linda, the Sanyang Genren wiped the blood from his mouth. His face was a little pale, but his eyes were extremely firm. If you want to hurt my young master's woman, you must step over my body first. Sanyang Genren looked at the people in front of him coldly. He came back to Jiangbei today to send spiritual medicine to Li Hao. Li Hao had asked Wu Kunlun to purchase some spiritual medicine before. He never thought that Sanyang Genren would come back and encounter this scene. This guy in front of him actually wanted to do something bad to Qin Yaking and Linda, and he also injured the white cat. Of course, he couldn't just watch it, so he took action directly. However, the result was that he was also injured. Even though his cultivation had reached the late stage of foundation building, he was no match for so many people in front of him. At this moment, there was a hint of determination in the eyes of Sanyang Genren, and he would never let the young master's woman receive any harm. Then kill him. The young master of Teiwa sword sect, Qiu Feng, said sternly. Then, someone beside Qiu Feng drew out the long sword on his back, burst out with a sharp edge, and slashed directly at Sanyang Genren. Sanyang Genren's face was extremely solemn. He had already used the power of cultivation to the extreme. The strong spiritual power formed a thick protection on the surface of his body. At the same time, he also burst out with an amazing offensive and blasted directly. Bang! The next moment, there was a dazzling sword light, and the opponent's long sword slashed down directly. In an instant, a figure was blasted back and then smashed against the wall of the villa. Bang! It was Sanyang Genren, but at this moment, Sanyang Genren was vomiting blood, his clothes were torn, and his body was covered with hideous wounds, and blood was flowing. Sanyang Genren had been injured before, and at this moment he was directly injured by the sword energy, and was instantly seriously injured. His breath also became extremely weak at this moment. Unable to withstand a single blow. The Teiwa sword sect cultivator who appeared saw the scene and said sarcastically, and then he slashed out with another sword, and the sword energy spread towards the position where Sanyang Genren was. If this sword fell on Sanyang Genren would really be dead. At this moment, a huge white figure suddenly flashed and appeared in front of Sanyang Genren. There was a fierce look on his body, but he blocked the sword energy. Roar! The huge white figure was naturally the white cat, and it let out a huge roar. The opponent's sharp sword energy fell directly on the white cat. Boom! There was another roar, and the white cat's figure was directly blasted back. The white cat's body was also immediately wounded by the sword energy, and the blood dyed its white hair red. The whole body fell to the corner of the villa, curled up, and the breath became extremely weak. Even if he wanted to struggle to stand up, he couldn't. Master! White cat! Qin Yaking and the other girl saw the scene and shouted again in shock, and even couldn't help running towards the location of Sanyang and the white cat. However, at this moment, the young man in front slowly walked towards them, with an evil look in his eyes and a wicked smile on his lips. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 317. Qiu Feng, the young master of the Taiwa sword sect, looked at Qin Yaking and Linda with an evil look on his face, his eyes filled with an evil light, and then he walked straight towards the two women step by step. What are you up to? Don't come over here. When Qin Yaking and Linda saw this scene, their pretty faces turned a little pale and they said in shock. What to do? Of course, you are doing what I want to do. You are so beautiful, I feel pity for you. Let's go to the inner room and have some fun. Qiu Feng suddenly sneered and said to Qin Yaking and the two of them. As he spoke, he walked forward again and soon arrived not far in front of the two women. I won't allow you to hurt him. My young master will never let you go. But at this time, the voice of Master Sanyang came again, and someone actually crawled over, trying to resist. Haha. Young master? Which family's young master are you from? You are not even worthy of carrying my young sect's shoes. It is their honor that this young sect has taken a liking to them. After hearing what Master Sanyang said, Qiu Feng said sternly, showing no disdain for the young master that Master Sanyang said. As soon as he finished speaking, Qiu Feng stretched out his hand and grabbed Qin Yaking and Linda. Stop. Master Sanyang raised his last strength, activated his remaining cultivation spiritual power, and even burned his essence and blood, allowing him to briefly resume action, and then launched another offensive towards Qiu Feng and rushed away. Court death. Qiu Feng suddenly shouted coldly, a sharp light burst out from his eyes, and he exploded with full strength and blasted directly towards Master Sanyang. Bang! The next moment, the violent force directly hit Master Sanyang's body, and another roar suddenly erupted. In an instant, another large mouthful of blood spurted out from Master Sanyang's mouth. The blood was also mixed with some black things, which were clearly internal organs. Master Sanyang's body was directly blasted and fell into the distance again, and he fainted. Qiu Feng didn't even look at them, his eyes fell directly on the two girls Qin Yaking in front of him, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Roar! And at this moment, a low beast roar suddenly sounded again, and the white cat actually blocked in front of the two women again. Its entire hair was dyed red with blood, and it looked very oozing, but the white cat, there was a hint of determination in the cat's eyes. In the white cat's heart, these two women were the master's women. As the master's spiritual beast, it naturally had to protect each other at all costs. The white cat roared, roaring angrily, showing a ferocious aura, and rushed over again when Qiu Feng was about to attack the two women. Roll! Qiu Feng shouted loudly, no longer patient, with a sharp look in his eyes. Boom! The powerful power of cultivation began to circulate, and he punched the white cat directly. Bang! Immediately afterwards, the white cat's body was knocked out again and rolled far away. Suddenly, two of the people behind Qiu Feng flashed out, came to the white cat's side in an instant, and used their power to directly suppress it. Now, no one can disturb us. Let's go. You two beauties, I advise you to go in obediently. I will definitely make you very comfortable. Qiu Feng sneered again and said to Qin Yaking and Linda. With a touch of desire in his eyes, he took 2 steps forward and soon came to less than 1 meter in front of the two women. Qin Yaking and Linda's expressions changed with shock. They kept retreating, but they had already reached the corner and had no way to retreat. Next to them, Qiu Feng's men were surrounding the place and would not let them. No chance of escape. Ah! Help! Ali Hao, where are you? Qin Yaking and Linda shouted, with a touch of fear on their pretty faces. Ha ha! Seeing this scene, Qiu Feng sneered loudly again. Scream, just scream. Even if I scream, I won't pay attention to you. I have set up a formation in this villa, so people outside can't hear what's going on inside at all. Qiu Feng suddenly said teasingly. Previously, Qiu Feng had ordered people to set up formations around the villa, which was equivalent to isolating the villa from the outside world. People outside could not see what was happening inside. He couldn't hear the movement inside at all. The old man beside him was not only a strong man in the early stage of the Dan formation realm, he was also good at unknown formations. He was a rare formation master in Teiwa sword section this time. His father, Qiu Tiankai, the leader of the Teiwa sword sect, was specially sent to protect him. Two beauties, stop struggling needlessly. Just let me be lucky. Haha. Qiu Feng suddenly sneered again. Immediately, Qiu Feng grabbed the two women again. Now that the Taoist priest is unconscious, the big spiritual beast is also under control, and there will no longer be any hindrance. Ah! Ah! Screams suddenly came from the mouths of Qin Yaking and Linda. Seeing it, Qiu Feng's hands were about to fall on the two women. Who gave you Teiwa sword sect the courage to dare to touch me? But at this moment, a cold voice suddenly resounded in the world, echoing in the space instantly. When this sound fell into everyone's ears, they felt an extreme chill. The sudden voice startled Qiu Feng. The disciples of Teiwa sword sect in the back also showed a vigilant look on their faces. Some of them even had their hands on the hilt of their swords, as if they were ready to fight at any time. Everyone looked at the voice. Qiu Feng's face changed. He saw a proud figure appearing at the entrance of the villa in the back. This was a young man in ordinary clothes, but he had a fierce aura on his body, and a sharp murderous intent in his eyes. This young man came in at some point. The formation was intact, as if it was useless to him, but Qiu Feng and others felt a strong threat from him. Qiu Feng's face suddenly condensed. He couldn't see through the other party's cultivation. Li Hao. Boss. At this time, Qin Yaking and Linda saw Li Hao appear, and their beautiful eyes suddenly showed excitement and joy, and they even completely forgot their current situation. In the eyes of the two women, if Li Hao appeared, they would be fine, as if Li Hao would support them even if the sky fell. Li Hao saw the scene in front of him, saw the unconscious Sanyang Jinren. His breath was extremely weak, and he was seriously injured. He also saw that the white cat's hair was stained with blood, curled up in the corner and dying. He also saw the fear and despair in Qin Yaking and Linda's eyes. Angry. Li Hao was really angry. Furious. In Li Hao's heart, anger instantly gushed out. Someone actually dared to do such a heavy hand to his people. Needless to say, Li Hao and the White Cat and Sanyang Jinren had a contract and naturally knew what happened. And sensing what happened here, Li Hao came directly. Fortunately Li Hao arrived at the critical moment. The formation around the villa naturally couldn't stop Li Hao, who had mastered the formation at this moment, from coming in easily, but as soon as he came in, he saw such a scene at the scene. In an instant, Li Hao was furious, and his eyes burst out with the most shocking murderous intent in history. Damn it! Li Hao muttered. His voice was calm, but filled with a touch of extreme coldness. Who are you? Qiu Feng saw Li Hao and immediately said in a stern voice. At the same time, the monks of Teiwa sword sect around him were also extremely vigilant. The one who killed you. Li Hao said lightly, as if he was stating a fact. However, when Li Hao's words fell into Qiu Feng's ears, Qiu Feng sneered again. Ha ha! Kill me? Do you know who I am? This young master is the young master of Teiwa sword section with you. You can't kill me. Qiu Feng said to Li Hao in a cold voice, with a hint of cold sarcasm in his voice, obviously not taking the other party seriously. In Qiu Feng's view, even if the other party is a cultivator, so what? Dare to go against his Teiwa sword sect? Even though the other party was also a cultivator, he was only one person. Beside him, there were several Teiwa sword sect masters. Teiwa sword sect, What a thing. I want to kill you, no one can save you. Li Hao said calmly again. Ha ha. Seeking death. Elder Shen. Qiu Feng laughed again and shouted directly. The other party was so arrogant that he didn't take him and Teiwa sword sect seriously at all. Isn't this seeking death? Young sect master, I'm here. Suddenly, the old man not far from Qiu Feng stood up. Kill him for me. How dare he disrespect this young sect master? Qiu Feng ordered angrily again. Yes. The old man's name was Shen Yi, and he was an elder of his Teiwa sword section. When he heard Qiu Feng's words, he immediately responded. After that, the old man stood up and looked at Li Hao with a vigilant look. Boom. At the same time, the old man's aura of the early stage of the Jindan realm was released instantly, and the violent spiritual power flowed on his body, with a full momentum, and then he pointed directly at Li Hao. As soon as the old man pointed, a strong sword energy was born. This finger was like a sword, revealing an extremely sharp sword energy, and it contained a sharp momentum, and went directly towards Li Hao. As an elder of the Teiwa sword sect, the old man's understanding of the sword is also very profound. Even without a sword, he can still use such a sharp and powerful sword method. Li Hao saw this scene, and his eyes burst out with an extremely sharp light. I saw Li Hao still standing in the same place. But at this moment, boom! An incomparable and powerful aura was released instantly from Li Hao's body. As soon as the aura of cultivation came out, the whole space was shaken, and the sky was darkened. In the late stage of the Jindan realm, even half a foot is about to step into the Shenhua realm. Boom! The powerful aura made all the people of Teiwa sword sect change their expressions instantly, and they were extremely shocked. How is this possible? How can it be so powerful? Hiss. Not good. Dot. In an instant, a series of extremely shocked voices came out from the mouths of the cultivators of Teiwa sword sect, and many people even took a breath of cold air, and their hearts were filled with shock. How could this be? It was Qiu Feng who felt the aura of Li Hao's cultivation, and his eyes were full of shock, and he said in disbelief. What is this? And the old man, who felt the pressure from Li Hao at this moment, the suffocating power of cultivation, made the old man's face become extremely horrified, and his whole mind was greatly impacted. Hitting the iron plate. But at this moment, the arrow is on the string and has to be shot. He has already made a move and there is no possibility of stopping. Li Hao's eyes burst out with a cold etch. Seeing the opponent's finger sword coming, Li Hao did not change his face. Bang bang bang. The next moment, Li Hao punched out directly. This punch was accompanied by the sound of thunder, containing an extremely destructive and violent power. Thunder Fist. This punch contains Li Hao's understanding of the power of thunder. Wherever this punch passed, the space exploded and made a harsh sound. Squeak. In an instant, Li Hao's thunder punch directly hit the old man's finger sword. Bang. Instantly, there was a roar, but it only lasted for a moment. The next moment, everyone could see that under this thunder fist, the finger sword that the old man had used was shattered. Bang. Then, the thunder fist hit the old man without any hindrance. Ah! Puff! The old man screamed instantly, and then spit out a mouthful of blood. The whole person was blasted backwards and fell heavily in the distance. Half-step Grandmaster. The old man's eyes were filled with horror and fear, and he said in a lost voice, I'm dead. The old man's eyes were filled with despair and regret in his heart. This time he really kicked the iron plate. As the old man's voice fell, the old man lost his voice directly. Dead. Ah! Elder Shen. Elder Shen. Elder Shen is dead? How could this happen? He actually killed Elder Shen. Dot. Seeing this scene, several people from the Teiwa sword sect screamed in shock, and their faces showed great fear and horror. Then, they saw that there was a huge hole in Elder Shen's chest, which had penetrated his body, as if it had been directly blown apart, bloody and blurred, but no blood was left. Even Elder Shen, the strongest among them in the Jindan realm, is gone. Are they opponents? Obviously impossible. You actually killed Elder Shen. When Qiu Feng saw the old man being killed, he looked at Li Hao with a look of horror, and his voice was so scared that he stuttered. So what if he killed him? I will not only kill him, but I will also kill you. When Li Hao heard Qiu Feng's words, he said lightly. But when Qiu Feng heard Li Hao's words, he felt as if he was falling into an ice cellar. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 318. I will not only kill him, I will also kill you. Li Hao's voice fell into Qiu Feng's ears, but Qiu Feng's face suddenly became extremely frightened, and his heart felt like it fell into an ice cellar, and he felt an extreme chill. Qiu Feng was really scared when he saw the other party's cold eyes. The other party was not joking. He even killed the elders of his Teiwa sword sect. Li Hao looked coldly at the young master of the Teiwa sword sect, his eyes filled with a cold murderous intent. Li Hao was really angry, no matter who it was, he had to pay the price for this. The next moment, Li Hao's cultivation power swept out again, and a powerful momentum permeated between the world. Boom! These Teiwa sword sect cultivators instantly felt a strong sense of oppression, and even breathing became extremely difficult. Everyone's face changed in shock, and their hearts were extremely shocked. It was simply too powerful. However, at this moment, everyone saw that the young man in front of them actually walked slowly towards their young master again. Seeing this scene, Qiu Feng's face was horrified again. Ah! What are you going to do? Don't come over. Qiu Feng's eyes showed great vigilance, and the power of cultivation was instantly circulated around his body to form a powerful spiritual power protection. He said to Li Hao in horror. Of course I will kill you. Li Hao's mouth showed a sneer again, and he said lightly, without any emotion in his eyes. After saying that, Li Hao walked towards Qiu Feng again, getting closer and closer. Boom! Suddenly, Li Hao's figure moved suddenly, moving like thunder, and instantly blasted towards Qiu Feng, carrying a powerful momentum. Qiu Feng's face was horrified, and the power of cultivation in the late stage of foundation building was also fully released, making a powerful resistance. Bang! But the next moment, Li Hao's terrifying attack came directly and hit Qiu Feng, and a roar sounded instantly. Puff! Then, everyone saw that Qiu Feng actually spit out a mouthful of blood, and his figure was directly shaken away. At this moment, Qiu Feng's face was extremely ugly, even his clothes were extremely messy, and he looked very embarrassed, looking at Li Hao with horror. Injured. The opponent was much stronger than him, and Qiu Feng felt an insurmountable gap at this moment, and the murderous intent in the opponent's eyes at this moment did not decrease, and it was clear that he wanted to kill him. Qiu Feng was really scared. What the hell are you still standing there for? I'm going to be killed. If I die, you can't live. Qiu Feng immediately said to the monks of Teiwa sword sect around him. This was no longer a simple order, but a threat. When everyone heard Qiu Feng's voice, their faces changed instantly. Indeed, Qiu Feng is the young master of Teiwa sword section. The master of Teiwa sword sect is a master of the spiritual transformation realm. He is already at the top of the world and they cannot afford to offend him. If his son, Qiu Feng, dies here under their protection, they will definitely not survive. Boom boom boom. Suddenly, a strong aura of cultivation burst out from the cultivators of Teiwa sword sect in front of them. Don't hurt the young master. Young master, go quickly. Everyone come together. These people kept shouting in shock, and then they also launched a powerful offensive and rushed towards Li Hao, trying to stop Li Hao. Some people even sacrificed their long swords and burst out with an extremely sharp sword attack. Get out! Li Hao saw this scene, but he shouted coldly again. As soon as this cold shout came out, it was like a thunder that instantly resounded between the world. Rumble. At the same time, there seemed to be thunder resounding in the sky. In the next scene, a thunder dragon descended from the sky. Li Hao was also bathed in the light of thunder. Endless thunder power flowed through his body, and Li Hao became majestic, accompanied by a destructive force. Bang! When the sword attack of these people fell, Li Hao punched again. When this punch came out, the whole world seemed to shake at this moment, and the space in front collapsed. The next moment. Ah! Ah! Crack! There were screams, and the sword attacks of these Tewa sword sect monks were all broken by this punch, and some people even broke the long sword in their hands. One after another, the figures flew backwards and scattered on the ground in the distance. Everyone's body was black and looked like it was about to be burned. They were extremely embarrassed and looked extremely tragic. Crush. This is a complete crush. Li Hao's cultivation level was much stronger than theirs. One was in heaven, the other was on earth. They were completely different. Li Hao threw a punch, and all the guys from Tewa sword sect fell down. Everyone's eyes were filled with deep shock and despair. They couldn't even move anymore and were seriously injured. Li Hao didn't even look at these people, but instead focused his eyes on Qiu Feng in front of him. At this time, Qiu Feng's face suddenly changed again. Whoosh! He moved and headed in another direction. Escape! Qiu Feng clearly saw that something was wrong and wanted to run away. In an instant, Qiu Feng had arrived at the wall of the villa, and then he jumped up. Escape? Can you escape? When Li Hao saw this scene, he said coldly. As Li Hao finished speaking, Li Hao pointed directly forward. Just as Li Hao's finger fell, a strange wave emerged from Li Hao's finger. The old man around the villa who had previously arranged some formation seemed to be aroused at this moment. Bang! The next moment, Qiu Feng, who was about to rush out, seemed to have hit a copper wall and was knocked back. Qiu Feng spurted out another large mouthful of blood, and the expression on his face was extremely horrified. How so? Qiu Feng couldn't believe that he was shocked back by an invisible force. What was that force? There is no doubt that it is naturally the formation. Isn't this what their elder arranged before? At this moment, the elder has been killed. Why does this formation block him? Is it you? Immediately afterwards, Qiu Feng suddenly looked at Li Hao, his eyes filled with disbelief. That's right. Of course it's me. Since you can't escape here, then stay here. After hearing the other party's voice, Li Hao suddenly said coldly. Li Hao, who is already proficient in formations, is not an exaggeration to call him a formation master. Controlling such a simple formation is naturally extremely simple. As Li Hao's words fell, a strong pressure swept out instantly and moved towards Qiu Feng to suppress it. In an instant, Qiu Feng felt a terrifying power fall on him. His body seemed to have lost control and could not move. Li Hao slowly walked towards Qiu Feng again. Ah! Qiu Feng was completely scared. Don't kill me. Misunderstanding, brother, this is all a misunderstanding. Qiu Feng suddenly said to Li Hao again, feeling truly scared. Misunderstanding? Haha. Hearing Qiu Feng's words, Li Hao didn't take it seriously, and there was even a hint of coldness at the corner of his mouth. It's okay. I'll kill you. This is also a misunderstanding. Li Hao said calmly again. As long as you let me go, I'm willing to give you 3 magic weapons. 100,000 spiritual stones. After hearing Li Hao's words, Qiu Feng quickly added, hoping that the enemy would spare his life for the sake of the magic weapon and the spirit stone. Really? Li Hao asked with a surprised expression. Really, as long as you let me go, there will definitely be no shortage of magic weapons and spiritual stones. When Qiu Feng heard Li Hao's words, he felt slightly happy and quickly said, "There's a show." But just when Qiu Feng thought the other party was about to agree. "Kill you, your things are not mine." Li Hao's voice spoke directly, which instantly made Qiu Feng's expression extremely ugly. "I won't talk nonsense to you anymore. It's time to send you on your way." Li Hao felt that he had spoken too much, so he immediately spoke directly, pronouncing Qiu Feng's life and death like a judge. Li Hao came directly in front of Qiu Feng, looked down at him, and then grabbed Qiu Feng directly. "Ah! Don't kill me. You can't kill me. I am the young master of Teiwa sword section. You won't survive if you kill me." Qiu Feng used his cultivation power to resist, but to no avail. Li Hao had controlled his entire body, and Qiu Feng's neck was directly pinched by Li Hao. Under such circumstances, Qiu Feng even revealed his identity. The young master of Teiwa sword sect? So what? However, when Li Hao heard the other party's words, he said lightly, looking disapproving. "My father is the sect leader of Teiwa sword sect, the master of the divine transformation realm." Qiu Feng spoke out again with difficulty, and even carried his biggest supporter, his father, before he came out. Li Hao was stunned for a moment, but secretly thought in his heart. Sure enough, what the guy from the Kunlun immortal sect said before was indeed right. There are masters of the god transformation realm among these immortal sects. When Qiu Feng saw Li Hao obviously paused, he felt happy again. "You can't kill me, my dad is the master. Let me go." Qiu Feng immediately said again. This scene fell into the eyes of those Teiwa sword sect guys in the distance. "Let go of the young master. Our sect master is the master." Those people spoke directly and non-stop. Qin Yaking and Linda also cast their beautiful eyes on Li Hao at this moment, feeling extremely trembling in their hearts. Li Hao actually suppressed the entire crowd for them, and even wanted to kill the guy in front of him who seemed to have an extraordinary origin. The hearts of Qin Yaking and Linda were shocked. They felt that Li Hao was filled with an invisible charm at this moment, which made them deeply fascinated. He. However, after hearing Qiu Feng's words, Li Hao smiled lightly again. "Grand Master, so what? If you touch my woman, let alone the Grand Master, I will die even if the King of Heaven comes. You talk too much, so just go and die." Li Hao looked at Qiu Feng coldly again and said with great arrogance, his voice full of arrogance. Click. As Li Hao finished speaking, he held Qiu Feng's neck and exerted force. A crisp sound instantly came out of Qiu Feng's neck, and it was directly twisted off. At the same time, a powerful cultivation force from Li Hao's body also went directly into Qiu Feng's body through his palm, destroying all his vitality. "Qiu Feng, die." Qiu Feng's eyes widened so wide that they seemed to fall out. His eyes were filled with incomparable despair. He could not believe until his death that the other party dared to kill him after hearing that he was the young master and his father was a master. Qiu Feng's vitality dissipated, and he was thrown aside casually by Li Hao. "Ah! Young master! He actually killed the young master." Seeing this scene, the injured Teiwa sword sect cultivators also made extremely shocked sounds at this moment, and there was a hint of fear in their eyes. "You're dead. The master will not let you go. Wait for your death." Someone even said to Li Hao, "You should worry about yourselves first. Do you think you can still survive?" When Li Hao heard what these people said, his expression did not change much, but he said directly, "What? You?" Those people stared with their eyes wide open, extremely terrified, and even more desperate. Li Hao did not hesitate at all, and flicked his fingers at these figures. In an instant, there were actually balls of fire blasting forward. Divine fire. This is the art of divine fire descending from the sky. Once the divine fire comes out, there is nothing that the divine fire cannot burn. The next moment, the divine fire fell directly on several people, and then turned into a raging flame, wrapping them up. Even if they resisted, it was still useless. Ah! No! Accompanied by screams, in just a moment, these figures had turned into ashes and were burned to ashes. The scene also became quiet. Only Qiu Feng and the old man's bodies were left on the ground. Li Hao grabbed the bodies of the two again, and 2 storage bags fell into Li Hao's hands. There were still a lot of spiritual stones and elixirs in them. Li Hao found a yellow book in Qiu Feng's storage bag. The book actually revealed a strong sword intent. A strange color appeared in Li Hao's heart. The next moment, Li Hao found that this was actually a sword method called Kai Tianji Unfa. Just at this moment, an exclamation mark suddenly appeared on the sword book, which made Li Hao's eyes light up. Prompt. Li Hao was so excited that he clicked the exclamation mark directly, and then paid another 20,000 yuan. Ding dong, congratulations to the host, you have obtained the incomplete chapter of the sword technique Kai Tian sword technique. Click downward arrow to obtain the complete chapter of Kai Tian sword technique / God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Taido. Chapter 320. Li Hao directly took out the red alchemy furnace. Then Li Hao directly activated the power of cultivation and injected it directly into the alchemy furnace. Suddenly, a blazing flame burned in the alchemy furnace. The temperature of the entire space also rose with the flames. Li Hao was righteous and focused, with a gleam of brilliance in his eyes. In Li Hao's mind, the recipe of the divine transformation pill and the method of refining emerged. The next moment, Li Hao directly threw some spiritual medicine into the alchemy furnace. Sizzle! The spiritual medicine suddenly burned, and was slowly tempered under the endless flames. Alchemy is mainly divided into several steps, first burning and tempering, then solidifying, and finally life. Li Hao is very familiar with every step. At this moment, he began to refine, and his whole body was filled with a majestic temperament, his movements were smooth and skillful. When Sanyang Jinren, Qin Yaking, and Linda saw this scene, they were shocked again. Wow, is this the legendary alchemy? Linda looked at Li Hao with her beautiful eyes wide open. This was the first time she had seen alchemy since she was a child. Not only her, but Qin Yaking beside her also had her beautiful eyes filled with incomparable brilliance at this moment. As for Sanyang Jinren, when he saw Li Hao making an alchemy, his heart was also suddenly shocked. When Li Hao took out the top-grade foundation building pill a long time ago, he was guessing how Li Hao's foundation building pill came from. It's not that he had never thought about the possibility that Li Hao was an alchemist. But guesses are always guesses and have not been confirmed. At this moment, Sanyang Jinren saw that Li Hao was actually making an alchemy, and his heart was immediately shocked beyond words, and he was even more excited. This is an alchemist. There are not many alchemists in the whole of Dewa. And what kind of pill is Li Hao refining at this moment? What Li Hao said just now was still echoing in Sanyang Jinren's ears, and it could not help but stir up a storm in Sanyang Jinren's heart. Sanyang Jinren felt more and more that becoming Li Hao's servant to do things for him was not a bad thing, but an opportunity. The next moment, Sanyang Jinren controlled his inner emotions again, and continued to use the power of cultivation to speed up the absorption of the spiritual power between heaven and earth. Such a rich spiritual energy is a good time to practice, and he naturally cannot miss it. Li Hao did not care about Sanyang Jinren and the others at all. His whole mind was in the alchemy. His spiritual consciousness spread directly, carefully sensing the changes of the elixir in the alchemy furnace. Li Hao threw one spiritual medicine after another into the alchemy furnace. 9-leaf lotus, dragon snake root, 7-star grass, fantasy god flower, mysterious soul grass. At this moment, Li Hao was undoubtedly a master of alchemy. The pharmacology of each spiritual medicine emerged in his mind. When to throw it in, how long to temper it, etc., Li Hao knew it all. In the art of alchemy, identifying herbs is the most basic skill. There are countless spiritual medicines in the world, and each of them has different pharmacology. According to the pharmacology of these spiritual herbs, these spiritual medicines are classified. It can be summarized in one sentence. Just like the 3,000 great ways, there are 3,000 herbs in the world, 9,000 companion herbs, and 100,000 derivative herbs. In other words, there are 3,000 kinds of herbs in the world, which are the roots of countless spiritual herbs and cover all pharmacology. In addition to these 3,000 herbs, there are 9,000 companion herbs, and most of these companion herbs have corresponding herbs. Most of the companion herbs have similar effects to the herbs, or they are directly accompanied by the herbs. In addition to these 3,000 herbs and 9,000 companion herbs, the rest of the grass is basically derived grass. Derived grass is a spiritual herb born through endless derivation, and it has different pharmacology. In Li Hao's mind, the recipe of the Huashan pill is well known, and his hands are constantly moving, refining the spiritual herbs in the cauldron. Time passed quickly while Li Hao was refining the elixir. So after a while, Linda was full of powerful aura. After eating the foundation building pill given by Li Hao, Linda became a foundation building cultivator without any surprise. Another 2 hours later, True Man Sanyang stopped practicing. All his injuries were healed. Even his cultivation power became much stronger. He was only one step away from the elixir forming state. True Man Sanyang did not go out, but waited beside Li Hao. Watching Li Hao refining the elixir, he also had a faint understanding in his heart. Another few hours passed. Li Hao was still refining the elixir. At this moment, Li Hao had been refining the elixir to the point of forgetting himself. His whole mind was immersed in refining the elixir. As time passed, Li Hao's cultivation power was also rapidly consumed. At the moment, more than half of it had been consumed. Even Li Hao was rarely tired mentally. Refining the elixir is really not something that ordinary people can do. While Li Hao was concentrating on refining the divine transformation pill, 3 streams of light were coming towards Jiangbei No. 1 courtyard, and in the streams of light, there were 3 towering figures. Soon, the 3 streams of light arrived at Jiangbei No. 1 courtyard, and then the void stood on the river surface, revealing 3 middle-aged men in grey robes. And the 3 of them were naturally sent by the leader of Teiwa Sword Sect to investigate Qiu Feng's murder. The aura of the young leader disappeared near here. At this time, one of them said in a deep voice, holding a compass in his hand. The compass in his hand is a magic weapon that can sense the aura of Qiu Feng, the former young master of Teiwa Sword Sect. So, the person who killed Xiao Zong is here. Another person next to him said immediately. You'd better be careful. A monk who can kill Lao Shen is probably not weak. The middle-aged man holding the compass said immediately. What are you afraid of? The 3 of us are together, even if a master-level strongman comes, there will be no problem if we can't escape. Yeah, the 3 of us are together, it won't be a big problem. But the other 2 people disagreed and said proudly. The next moment, the 3 of them walked forward directly, and then came straight to the outside of the villa. The 3 of them gave a look of surprise in unison. Do you have a feeling that this villa seems a little unusual? The middle-aged man holding the compass said immediately. Yes, that's right. I'll go take a look. The other 2 people immediately responded, and they also saw something unusual. Be careful. Suddenly, one of them walked towards the door of the villa ahead. The three of them are all powerful monks in the Dan formation realm. At this moment, in their perception, the villa in front of them seems strange, but they can't tell the reason with their naked eyes. Immediately, the middle-aged man showed vigilance and walked forward. Boom. However, when this man just walked less than a foot away from the door of the villa, a terrifying power suddenly erupted in the entire space. All I saw was that this space was filled with countless spiritual lights. The spiritual lights circulated and shuttled through the space, and an extremely fierce offensive suddenly broke out. Bang! Immediately afterwards, there was a fierce force that directly bombarded the man's body. With a dull sound, the man's figure was directly blown away. Old song. Damn it, this is a formation. In an instant, the other two people suddenly made shock sounds, and their expressions changed with horror. The man who was blasted away was called Sci-fi, and he was also a strong man in the middle stage of the Dan formation realm. As for the other two, they were both strong men in the late stage of the Dan formation realm. The one holding the compass was called Duyin, and the other one was called Wang Qiangang. Song Zifei's figure was blown several feet away, and his eyes were filled with incomparable horror. Looking at the villa, Song Zifei's face became extremely ugly. All I saw was that a strange barrier appeared on the sky of the villa in front of me. Endless auras were constantly flowing, full of incomparable fierceness, and accompanied by monstrous power. Array. Song Zifei's face was extremely sad. There was actually a formation on the villa in front of him. No wonder they felt it was unusual just now. This was the reason. What makes Song Zifei depressed is that this formation is very secretive. The three of them didn't notice it at all just now. If he hadn't come closer, the formation might not have been triggered, so that he was caught off guard just now and was actually caught. This formation was injured by the bombardment, and there was blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. And from this formation, Song Zifei felt an aura that made him throb. Not only him, but the faces of Wang Qiangang and Duyin next to him also changed in shock at this moment. Old Song, are you okay? Duyin immediately asked Song Zifei. I'm fine, but this formation is very powerful. Song Zifei said directly. It's just a formation, it's so powerful. Look at me, I'll split it with my sword. After understanding Song Zifei's words, Wang Qiangang stood up immediately and spoke directly. I heard Wang Qiangang look at the villa again and proudly shouted to the inside of the villa. Listen to the monks inside, the three of us are the elders of Tewa Sword Sect, and you are the ones who killed the young master of our sect, right? Those who know better, get out and die. There was a hint of arrogance in Wang Qianggang's voice. At the same time, inside the villa, Master Sanyang and others couldn't help but change their expressions when they heard what was said outside. Coming so soon? Master Sanyang said in a solemn voice. He did not expect that the Tewa Sword Sect person would come so quickly. Master Sanyang's face could not help but turn cold, but he looked at Li Hao in the corner, and saw that Li Hao seemed not to have heard the voice. Generally speaking, he is still in the process of refining alchemy and is not affected at all. You're not coming out, are you? Do you want to be a coward? Do you think a formation can stop us? Let me break it with one sword. Wang Qianggang's voice suddenly sounded again. When it fell into the ears of Master Sanyang immediately became angry, stood up and couldn't help but rush out. Stay well and wait until they break through. However, Li Hao's voice faintly reached Master Sanyang's ears at this moment, causing Master Sanyang's figure to tremble again. Li Hao's voice was filled with a touch of indifference and a strong sense of confidence, which shocked Master Sanyang's heart again. Just before, when the three of them were still several kilometers away, Li Hao had already sensed the aura of the three of them. But Li Hao was not panicked at all. There were only 3 pill-forming monks who came, and they posed no threat to me. But at this critical moment of refining pills, I had no time to pay attention to these three guys. Even the formation you set up is not so easy to break. So, Li Hao simply ignored these three guys. Outside, Wang Qiangang suddenly released a powerful cultivation power, and the powerful cultivation of the late Jindan realm shook the world. The next moment, a long sword appeared in Wang Qiangang's hand. The long sword was cold and exuded an extremely sharp aura. The spiritual power rose in Wang Qiangang's hand, and then wrapped the long sword. In an instant, a strong sword intent permeated Wang Qiangang's body. The terrifying sword intent enveloped him, and then Wang Qiangang slashed out with the sword. Boom! The sword came out, and it was accompanied by a terrifying sword energy, which tore the entire space apart. However, the next moment, Wang Qianggang's sword slashed directly into the void in front of him, and was immediately blocked by an invisible force. Buzz! The whole world trembled. Wang Qianggang's powerful sword could not fall. Chi chi chi! There was a harsh sound resounding in this space. In the void ahead, a dazzling aura burst out from the formation again. Boom! In an emergency, a powerful recoil force burst out, and the terrifying force attacked Wang Qiangang. Wang Qianggang's face suddenly changed. He felt a strong threat and quickly generated defensive power around his body. But the next moment, Wang Qianggang's figure was still heavily repelled. Bang 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 bang. Wang Qianggang's figure fell to the ground in the distance, leaving a deep footprint on the ground. He just managed to stabilize his figure with difficulty, but his face became extremely ugly. He couldn't break such a powerful sword? How is this possible? Wang Qiangang was extremely shocked and couldn't believe this scene. Boom! The next moment, Wang Qiangang once again condensed his cultivation power and slashed with the sword again. Bang! But the result was the same as before. Wang Qianggang's figure was repelled again. What a powerful formation! I'll come to. At this time, Du Yan saw this scene, and a look of shock appeared on his face. He also directly activated the powerful power of cultivation, burst out a powerful offensive, and blasted towards the formation, trying to break it. Boom boom boom. However, apart from the ripples on the formation, it still stood on the villa, unmoving. Li Hao completely ignored the three people from Teiwa sword sect who were unkind to the old man. Li Hao carefully sensed the situation in the alchemy furnace. At this moment, the spiritual medicines thrown in had been fully tempered and turned into the essence of spiritual medicines. Li Hao then controlled the power and compressed the air in the alchemy furnace, directly allowing the essence of those spiritual medicines to take shape. Living. With Li Hao's loud shout, a powerful spiritual power was injected into the alchemy furnace again. This is the last step of alchemy. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying momentum emerged in the alchemy furnace. The spirit pill is done. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tian Tian Taido. Chapter 321. At this moment, the spirit pill was made. A powerful momentum emanated from the alchemy cauldron. Ong. At the same time, a strange wave spread out from the alchemy cauldron, and a strange power shocked the spirits of all the people around. Bang! Another crisp sound, and the lid of the alchemy cauldron burst out a dull sound. The next moment, a round pill appeared in Li Hao's hand. This is a purple pill, with spiritual light flowing on the pill, and the whole pill is covered with some strange patterns, which are clearly pill patterns. It can be seen that the quality of this pill has clearly reached the best. Buzz. At this moment again, a fragrance emanated from this pill. At this moment, the bodies of Sanyang Jinren, Qin Yaking, and the other two trembled. Smelling this fragrance, the three felt that their bodies became extremely comfortable and refreshed. Li Hao looked at the round pill in his hand, and a faint smile appeared on his face. The spiritual transformation pill. It's done. The pill in Li Hao's hand was surprisingly the spiritual transformation pill, and under Li Hao's refining, it had reached the most perfect quality. Li Hao felt the power contained in this spiritual transformation pill, and couldn't help but feel a little bit of anticipation in his heart. The next moment, Li Hao put the spiritual transformation pill into his mouth without hesitation, and then swallowed it directly. The spiritual transformation pill melted in his mouth, like a wisp of spiritual liquid. But at this moment, buzz. Li Hao's mind suddenly buzzed, and the whole person felt like he was about to explode. Ah! A scream suddenly came out of Li Hao's mouth, and Li Hao sat down cross-legged again. Around Li Hao's body, there was another strange wave. Li Hao. Boss. Qin Yaking and Linda saw the scene and heard the painful sound from Li Hao. Their pretty faces changed color and they shouted to Li Hao, their voices filled with worry and concern. Be patient, the young master should be fine. At this time, Sanyang Jinren also looked at Li Hao closely, and immediately said to the two women in a deep voice, and the two women did not move. At this moment, it seemed that a strange power flowed into Li Hao's spirit, making Li Hao's spiritual power become extremely huge. His. Li Hao was in excruciating pain, but he endured it. There was a powerful force in his body, and his whole spirit seemed to be torn apart. Heart-piercing pain. The pain came from the spirit. Li Hao sat cross-legged on the spot, but he directly operated his cultivation again, absorbing the powerful medicinal effect of the spirit-transforming pill. Of course, this pain only lasted for a moment. Then, it was extremely comfortable. Li Hao could clearly feel that his cultivation power began to rise at this moment. Not only that, Li Hao's body also underwent an amazing transformation at this moment. Whether it was his flesh and blood or his bones, they all became extremely powerful at this moment. The potential in his blood seemed to be completely stimulated, and Li Hao became completely transparent. In the next moment, boom! A powerful and amazing wave was released from Li Hao's body, and the wave made people palpitate. Buzz! At this moment, the wave rose suddenly and rushed straight into the sky, stirring up the wind and clouds. Boom! Endless storms were stirred up, and the sky and the earth were dark at this moment, and the wind and clouds changed color. On Li Hao's body, a towering figure appeared, like a giant, invisible and colorless, but a real existence, and that appearance suddenly became Li Hao's appearance, like a soul. Yes, this is a soul. Li Hao's soul. Li Hao's soul power underwent a huge transformation at this moment and became extremely powerful. Then, Li Hao opened his eyes, and the huge figure in the sky also opened his eyes. At this moment, Li Hao felt as if he was standing on the sky, the earth was under his feet, and he could see hundreds of miles away at a glance. Boom! Then, an invisible force came out with Li Hao's perception, and spread out in all directions with this place as the center. With the outflow of this perception power, everything around was in Li Hao's perception, and even everything that happened in Jiangbei could not escape Li Hao's perception. This is the divine consciousness. Li Hao's perception power at this moment can be said to be the real soul power, and it can also be truly called divine consciousness. At this moment, people in Jiangbei and even the entire southwest region all felt a sense of being spied on. Boom! At the same time, an astonishing momentum burst out from Li Hao's body, which was many times stronger than Li Hao's previous cultivation momentum. Li Hao's cultivation successfully entered the realm of transformation, that is, the realm of the master. A master of the spiritual transformation realm who is less than 20 years old. The reason why he is called a master is that when he reaches the spiritual transformation realm, he is already at the top, and he can even establish a school. Li Hao has stood up from his cross-legged position again. Li Hao's clothes fluttered, and the whole person looked a little different. Standing there, Li Hao seemed to be the center of heaven and earth, and the spiritual power between heaven and earth gathered towards his body involuntarily. Is this the state of transformation into gods? Li Hao felt the changes in his body and murmured. His body was filled with powerful power, as if he could truly move mountains and seas with just one move. Li Hao didn't know what specific step he could take at this moment, but he felt so powerful at this moment. Involuntarily, Li Hao felt a sense of control in his heart, as if everything was under his control. A difference in realm is a world of difference. The sky is vast and the earth is vast, there is no place that cannot be reached. Li Hao's heart felt bold and unrestrained. At this moment, Master Sanyang looked at Li Hao, his heart was extremely shocked, and there was even more excitement in his eyes. The realm of a grandmaster. The realm of a grandmaster. Young master, you have become a master. Although Master Sanyang didn't know what specific step Li Hao had reached now, he could still feel the extraordinariness in Li Hao. It was a feeling of transcendence and becoming a saint. He had clearly become a master. How many grandmasters are there in the entire continent? Qin Yaking and Linda also looked at Li Hao, their beautiful eyes filled with light, their breasts trembling with excitement. It was at this moment that Li Hao broke through to the realm of divine transformation and became a master. In Jiangbei, there were also many monks who felt this vibration that made them throb. It's so scary. It feels so powerful. What realm is this? Who is it? Which big boss has arrived? Shocking sounds came from the mouths of these monks. Now. The station of the Southwest Garrison. In a conference room, there are many majestic figures here. They are all wearing military green clothes and are having a meeting at the moment. The leader was a middle-aged man, filled with a fierce aura, and carrying an ear of wheat and 2 stars on his shoulders. This middle-aged man turned out to be Nai Yuntian, the envoy of the Southwest Guard Army. Below Nai Yuntian, there were 2 rows of figures sitting, including a dozen figures, and these people all had 2 bars on their shoulders. Deputy Garrison Envoy Yu Jianshan, Garrison Envoy Qi Lianshan, Deputy Garrison Envoy Li Dayuan, and Army Envoy Longs Haiming were all prominently listed. Sitting next to Nai Yuntian, there was a relatively unfamiliar man who looked young, only in his 30s. Only he was wearing ordinary casual clothes, which made him look special. This is Director Zhang from the Dewa National Security Special Operations Agency. He was specially sent to assist us this time. Everyone is welcome. Nai Yuntian introduced directly to everyone. Yu Jianshan and others below were shocked when they heard Nai Yuntian's words. The Dewa National Security Special Operations Agency is a special department. Those who can enter it are the elites among the elites in the garrison of all parties. In addition to the age limit, there is also the most important requirement, that is, a monk. Those who can enter the National Security Special Operations Agency must be a monk, and they must obtain certain merits. The man in front of him is actually a member of the Dewa National Security Special Operations Agency. This status is simply extraordinary. It is difficult to be able to participate in the internal meeting of their Southwest Guards Army. You know, the people of the Dewa National Security Special Operations Agency have many privileges in the entire Dewa. For a moment, Longs Haiming and others were wondering what happened. Even people from the Dewa National Security Special Operations Department were sent down. If it weren't for special circumstances, wouldn't these people from the Dewa National Security Special Operations Department be sent down? Will show up. Hello everyone. My name is Taoist Zhang, and of course I am a real Taoist. The man immediately introduced himself. Everyone must be wondering why I'm here, right? Zhang Dai looked at the doubts on everyone's faces and continued. Everyone must have heard recently that there are suddenly many more monks in the entire southwest region. Let me tell you directly, These monks all came down from those fairy mountains. As far as I know, the reason why these monks came to this world is to look for things. As Dai Zhang's words reached everyone's ears one by one, everyone's hearts were extremely shocked. It turns out that this fellow Taoist was sent down, on the one hand, to help the garrison protect the peace, and on the other hand, to find what those people were looking for. So, everyone is still. Zhang Dai wanted to say something else, but at this moment, a wave of aura that made him throb swept over him. Huh? Is this a god? Zhang Dai's expression suddenly changed in shock, and he even stood up directly. He raised his head in shock and looked into the distance along the window of the conference room. Not only him, but Nai Tianyuan, the guard of the Southwest Guard Army next to him, also changed his face at this moment and became extremely horrified. What a powerful aura! Is this the transformation of a god? Nai Tianyuan said in shock. At this moment, the expressions of the deputy guard envoy Yu Jianshan, the commander-in-chief Commander Qi Lianshan, the deputy commander-in-chief Commander Li Dayuan and others also suddenly changed. Some of them were not monks yet, but they felt extremely depressed at this moment. When they heard the words of fellow Taoist Zhang and Nai Yuntian, their hearts suddenly felt turbulent. What? Is this a monk who transforms into gods? Grand Master? Is this the legendary realm of a Grand Master? Hiss. A series of shocking sounds came from their mouths, and they even sucked in cold breaths. In the realm of a Grand Master, he is a strong man who stands at the top. While Yu Jianshan and others were shocked, they also felt a sense of incomparable yearning. If Yu Jianshan, Qi Lianshan, and others knew that they had seen this Grand Master before and even visited the Southwest Guards, I don't know how shocked they would be. At this moment, in the northeast of China, is Jinghua. In a pavilion by a lake. At this moment, an old man and a young man are playing chess. An old man looks to be 70 or 80 years old. He is wearing a white robe, but he gives people a very kind feeling. He is holding a black chess piece, and the man opposite is the young man, who looked like he was in his 20s, held a white chess piece in his forehand. Not bad, not bad. You are really good. You are the first person to be able to fight with me for so long without losing. At your age, you are the first one. The old man nodded and looked at the young man in front of him and felt quite satisfied. It is an honor for me to be praised by Mr. Zhao. When the young man heard the old man's praise, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. The old man in front of him is no ordinary person. He can be said to be a figure who stands on the top of the Chinese nation. However, although you are already very good, but... I heard the old man continue to speak. Hearing this, the young man's heart suddenly condensed again, and he listened carefully. However, if you want to take charge of the situation, you are still a little short of the mark. Now is not the time. The old man said directly again. The young man's mood couldn't help but fluctuate under the old man's words. He knew what the old man meant, and he had some purpose in coming here this time. However, the old man's words were equivalent to failing to accomplish his purpose. Please give me some advice, Mr. Zhao. The young man said again very modestly, with a solemn and respectful expression. If you want to control the wind and cloud, you must first be able to influence the wind and cloud. Your realm is still a little behind. If you can break through to the realm of divine transformation before the age of 30, maybe. The old man looked at the young man and said directly again, but he hadn't finished speaking yet. The old man suddenly raised his head again and looked toward the southwest. His state of mind, which had not been rippled for many years, actually had huge ripples at this moment. The old man's cultivation has reached such a high level that he can still feel it even though he is thousands of miles away. At this moment, in the southwest direction, the sky there changed color and wind and clouds were stirred up. That was when someone broke through to become a god and achieved the realm of a master. At this moment, although the young man next to him was a little behind in cultivation, he still felt an unusual wave coming from him. God level tip, report the walking 500,000 at the beginning. Author, Tien Tien Taido. Chapter 322. How many years have passed, and finally someone has broken through and become a god. The old man looked at the sky, his heart was shaken, and he murmured. Boom! A majestic force was instantly released from his body, and an invisible force swept away directly, which was the power of divine consciousness. Someone stirred up the storm. Next to him, the young man heard the old man's words, and his heart was filled with turmoil. Mr. Zhao, is there someone who has broken through to the realm of divine transformation? The young man asked the old man next to him. That's right, Dawa has added another grandmaster. A smile appeared on the old man's face and he said in a deep voice. I just don't know who this person who became a master is and which force he belongs to. When the young man heard the old man's words, his heart was shocked to the extreme. This is a grandmaster. A strong man who truly stands at the top of the road. The reason why the old man in front of him can become one of the powerful people in Dawa, and the whole Dawa shakes when he moves his feet, is precisely because the old man in front of him is a true master. It is the young man himself. As one of the 4 young masters of Jinghua, he is only 27 years old, but he is a real strong man in the middle stage of the Dan formation realm. Such a monster's talent has directly crushed countless big families or those big forces. Tian Xiao, but even so, he can't guarantee that he can successfully break through to the realm of divine transformation and become a grandmaster within 3 years. It is possible to break through to the late stage of the core formation realm within 3 years, but if you become a god, it does not mean that you can break through. If there is no chance, it is normal for some people to stay in the alchemy realm for life. Just when Li Hao broke through and became a god and became a master. On Kunlun Mountain, in the same main hall as before, Qiu Xingyun, the master of the Kunlun immortal sect, was practicing when he suddenly opened his eyes. Is this, someone becoming a master? Qiu Xingyun was suddenly shocked and said in surprise. Inexplicably, Qiu Xingyun's heart palpitated. The secret realm of Yaotai is about to open, and someone actually broke through to the master realm again. Qiu Xingyun felt a sense of urgency in his heart. The next moment, Qiu Xingyun closed his eyes again, and then continued to practice. Although his cultivation level is already at the top, he still needs to prepare a little more for this Yaotai secret realm. If his cultivation level can be improved to another level, he will have one more trump card. At this moment, in addition to Kunlun Mountain, on Yaotai Mountain, in the Yaotai immortal sect, deep in the flowers, in a unique attic, there are 2 extremely beautiful women, one wearing a white dress, the other wearing a green dress. Her dress is like a fairy in the sky, independent from the world, and her beautiful face is even more amazing. It is not an exaggeration to say that the fish sinks and the wild goose falls, the country is charming. Junior sister Xingyi, the secret realm is about to be opened. The forces of the immortal mountains and holy lands on the mainland have already sent their disciples to the world to find the keys. You should also go and take a trip and bring back the remaining keys. How can the things belonging to the founder be used? Into the hands of others. At this moment, the woman in the white skirt was talking to the woman in green. The woman in the white skirt was sitting cross-legged on the futon, as if she could not eat the fireworks of the world. Her body was filled with a noble temperament, and she had the aura of a superior momentum. And she is the sect leader of the Yaotai Holy Land, Mobai, and she is also a genuine powerhouse in the God transformation realm. And that Yaotai secret realm was left behind by the founder of her Yaotai immortal sect. Therefore, Mobai is determined to open this secret realm, and her master disappeared during the last trip to the secret realm 100 years ago. This time the secret realm is opened again, she wants to go in and find the whereabouts of her master. As for the woman in King Ai, she is Bai's junior sister, Chu King Ai. The two girls were originally orphans. When they were very young, their master took them to the mountains to practice. Even this name was given by the master. Okay. When Chu King Ai heard Bai's words, her face suddenly condensed, and a strange color appeared in her eyes, but she didn't say anything more and responded directly. But then, Chu King Ai asked again. But how should I find the remaining keys? I don't know where these keys are scattered, and I don't know what they are, so even Chu King Ai doesn't know how to find them. Bai didn't speak. At some point, something appeared in Bai's hand, which was a white jade bracelet. Immediately, Bai handed the bracelet to Chu King Ai again. This bracelet is something left by the master. It is one of the keys to open the door to the secret realm. Bai immediately said to Chu King Ai. What? This bracelet is the key. Seeing the bracelet in Bai's hand, a strange color flashed across Chu King Ai's face and he said in surprise. Yes, this bracelet is the key to the secret realm. There are 4 keys to open the door to the secret realm, and this bracelet is just one of them. What you have to do is to find the remaining 3 keys. Bai said directly to Chu King Ai again. As for how to find it, I also heard the master once say that the keys to the secret realm are related to each other. Within a certain distance, they can sense each other. You only need to wear this bracelet on your hand. When Chu King Ai heard Bai's words, she couldn't help being shocked again. There is actually a connection between the keys, can they still be sensed? Then this will be easy to handle. Chu King Ai responded again, and then took the bracelet from Bai. This bracelet looked ordinary, and there was nothing special about it, so Chu King Ai put it away directly. But at this moment, in the south of Yaokai Xian Zone, the wind and rain in the sky there gave rise to a strange phenomenon, and the sky and the earth changed color. A strange color suddenly appeared in the eyes of Bai and Chu King Ai. Someone has become a god. Bai said in a deep voice. God. Chu King Ai also muttered in her heart, and her heart was in turmoil. Junior sister King Ai, you go. Be careful along the way, people are treacherous, don't trust anyone. Bai instructed Chu King Ai again. Bai was not too worried about Chu King Ai's safety. Although Chu King Ai was not a god, she was in the late stage of Jindan realm, and was only one step away from becoming a god. There were not many people who could threaten Chu King Ai. However, her junior sister has basically been on the fairy mountain with her all the time, rarely entering the world, and she doesn't know that people in the world are treacherous. Bai is worried that Chu King Ai will not be deceived. Don't worry, senior sister, I'm not a child. Chu King Ai said in a deep voice. She is not a child, and she has lived for many years. Chu King Ai left and went down the mountain. For some reason, she felt a little bit of expectation in her heart. She hasn't been down the mountain for many years. Jiangbei No. 1 Courtyard. Li Hao felt the powerful force contained in his body, and his heart was also excited. Powerful. It's really powerful. It's many times stronger than before. Several times or even dozens of times. Li Hao can clearly feel the changes in his body and soul. Everything has become different, as if everything is under his control. A smile appeared on Li Hao's face. He immediately put away the alchemy cauldron and looked outside the villa again, with a sharp look in his eyes. Outside the villa, outside the formation set up by Li Hao, Wang Qiangang and the other 2 from Teiwa Sword Sect were originally launching a powerful offensive towards the formation. The roar continued, and it seemed that the formation was about to be blasted open by the joint attack of the 3 of them. But just at this moment, a terrifying aura emanated from the formation, and the 3 people's movements suddenly stopped, and a touch of horror appeared in their hearts. The three of them looked up at the sky together, and saw that above the sky, the wind and clouds were rolling back, and a spiritual storm was condensing and circling. What is this? What happened? Anomaly. This is anomaly. The three of them suddenly burst into a horrified voice, and at this moment they felt a terrifying aura that made them feel terrified in their hearts. The three of them were shocked to the extreme. However, in the next moment, the storm on the sky dissipated again, and everything disappeared as if it had disappeared, and it returned to calm. Just when the three were surprised and couldn't calm down, the three suddenly saw that the formation in front of them, which had been bombarded several times but remained unbroken, actually had ripples at this moment. The next moment, the formation actually dissipated directly. The situation inside the villa was suddenly revealed, and the three immediately saw the scene in front of them. 2 men, 2 women, and a cat. However, when the three people's eyes fell on the 4 people in front of them, they were shocked to the extreme. The 3 people couldn't help but be shocked again. The 3 were elders of Tewa sword sect, all of them were cultivators in the Jindan realm, and naturally they could see the unusualness of these people in front of them at a glance. These people in front of them were actually cultivators. The 2 women were in the early stage of foundation building, and it was obvious that they had just broken through. This was nothing, and the early stage of foundation building was not a concern in the eyes of the 3. As for the old man in Taoist robes, he was much stronger, and he was a villager who had half a foot in the Jindan realm. That's right. During the time when Li Hao was refining pills, Sanyang Genren's cultivation had improved a lot. He had already stepped half a step into the Jindan realm. It was only a matter of time before he became a Jindan realm cultivator. Of course, a half-step Jindan cultivator was still nothing in Sanyan's eyes. For Wang Qiangang and the other 2, any one of them could crush him directly. But the people in a small villa were all cultivators, which was a bit unusual. What surprised Wang Qiangang and the other 2 the most was that the cat was actually a spirit beast, comparable to a Jindan realm cultivator. However, this was not the most critical thing. You know, the 3 of them followed the breath of their young master, and the breath of their young master disappeared here. Their young master seemed to have disappeared out of thin air. There is no doubt that their young master must be in danger. And their young master was followed by many Tewa sword sect cultivators, and an elder in the Jindan realm was specially guarding him. The person who killed their sect master might be right in front of them. If the person who was able to kill their young sect master also killed the elders in the Jindan realm without leaving any traces, then at least the person who killed their young sect master was also a Jindan realm expert, and not even in the middle Jindan stage or above. At this moment, Wang Qiangang and the other 2 thought a lot. They were all people who had lived for hundreds of years, and their minds were so agile that they immediately realized the problem. The next moment, the 3 of them simultaneously set their sights on the young man in front of them. This young man was handsome and stood there quietly. The 3 of them could not see his cultivation level, but he was filled with a feeling that the 3 of them could not describe. No. The 3 of them realized that something was wrong. The person in front of them could not be an ordinary person. If he was not an ordinary person, he must be a cultivator. The cultivator who was not seen through by the 3 of them, then his cultivation level was at least higher than the 3 of them. The 3 of them were cultivators in the middle and late stages of the Jindan stage. If they were higher, then they would be thinking of the strange phenomenon of heaven and earth that happened just now, and the 3 of them felt the throbbing breath fluctuation. Hiss. The next moment, the 3 of them took a breath of cold air. God of transformation. He is a god of transformation. You are a master. You killed the young master. The 3 looked at Li Hao in shock. Master? How is this possible? Such a young master? The 3 felt that they had hit rock bottom at this moment. If the other party was a master, their previous actions were tantamount to seeking death. The hearts of the three were chilled. You can't be so deceiving, right? Are they here to die? Li Hao looked at the three Tewa sword sect guys indifferently, with a hint of coldness in his expression. Just now I seem to have heard someone want me to go out and die, right? Li Hao looked at the three people with a smile. When Wang Qiangang and the other two heard Li Hao's words, their expressions could not help but condense. No, no, you heard it wrong. Who said that? Who dares to let the master come out to die? You really don't want to live, right? The faces of the three were extremely ugly. The three looked at each other and said hurriedly. Cowardly. They had to be cowardly. In front of the Grand Master, no matter how tough they were, they had to be soft. Unless they didn't want to live. Hee hee. Li Hao saw the scene and laughed faintly again. That's right, it was me who killed your young master. Don't you want revenge? Li Hao said directly to the three people. Revenge? What revenge? That guy has done so many evil things, he deserves to die. You did the right thing, this is completely to eliminate harm for the people. The three people heard Li Hao's words and said indignantly again, but their hearts were extremely broken, and they wanted to cry. It's not like this. Ha ha. The three of them are so funny. But at this time, Qin Yaking and Linda suddenly laughed.